and D-Mase.
It was pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. We're just one day away from Thursday night football. Titans Steelers tomorrow night in Pittsburgh.
Yes, and should be this is one that I think Titan fans are anticipating seeing, especially after Will Levis's performance Sunday. I know fans just can't wait to see what Mr. Levis does. What is his
Billy
follow up? It's not the encore, but the follow up performance. To his performance this past Sunday. So I know fans are like, give me more Levis, give me more Levis. So it's going to be a good day tomorrow, for Titans fans. Let's hopefully it ends up that way as well.
Right. It'll be an exciting morning for sure.
We'll see
how Thursday night goes. Willy D is here as well. Where in the world is Willy D today?
I am back in the States. We took the very short flight from Vancouver to Seattle, and it'll be the Predators and the Kraken tomorrow night. So I'm guessing at about halftime of the Titans game, it'll be the start of the Predators and the Kraken. So it'll be a flip the channel kind of night, depending on how it's going for either or both of the teams. So I got to get used to this late night flight stuff. This is our first one of the year. So I'm up and at 'em, ready to go.
Well, happy to have you back, and welcome back to the States.
All right.
All right, Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us in 1 hour. We'll get Hutton's thoughts looking ahead to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also a recap of Will Levis's debut performance, but I also want to get his thoughts on the Titans at the trade deadline. No moves were made by the Tennessee Titans yesterday, so Kevin Byard is the only trade that the Titans have made so far this season. Are we surprised that the Titans stood pat?
You know what? I am surprised that because after the Byard move, you just thought that there was going to be another move coming. I think we did say, as far as the offensive guys, it depended on how this past weekend game went. If they won and they looked pretty good doing it, then they may choose to hold on at least to a Henry and a Hopkins, and that's what happened. They played well. Will Levis looked pretty good. So you don't want to mess with that chemistry as a GM. You want to continue to give your young quarterback weapons to throw to, especially as we've talked ad nauseum about, Traylon Burks and his inability to get himself going in his offense. I'm surprised from a defensive standpoint because a lot of these guys, a few of these guys are on expiring contracts, and you still chose to keep a few of those defensive players, whether it be Elijah, Fulton or Tier Tart or Danico Autry, those three guys, but you chose to keep them, which tells me there's a belief in that locker room after what they saw Sunday that they can make a push, because this AFC is jumbled up right about now, and it's usually starting this week where teams start to separate themselves and start jockeying for position in the playoffs. So I believe there is a belief after watching Will Levis. That's why I said they're not going back to Ryan Tannehill. Win or lose, they're not. He's done. But there's a belief in his locker room, I think, not just among the players, but the coaches, that we can win. We can keep ourselves in this, and it's going to come down to, which I do believe, it's going to come down to the last 2 weeks, vying for those last 2 spots in the AFC playoffs.
I would love to hear a press conference with Rand Carthon. Let's take, for example, the Predators at the trade deadline every year. There is a press conference with the GM. Of course, this year, I'm going to speculate that Barry Trotz will have a press conference on the day of the trade deadline. He won't be any different than David Poyle.
100% guarantee.
Yeah, the way Barry Trotz is with the media, right? He does a lot of interviews. We haven't heard from Rand Carthon, but I would just love to get a glimpse of what the market was, right? He doesn't have to say, well, this team called us and they offered a 6th-round guy for this guy. He doesn't have to get specific, but you can get a general sense of what the process was like. And I would like to hear that. If you look around the league, I don't think there was a big big wave of trades like we always wonder. It was much more like it is almost every year in the NFL. So it's not like other teams made 5 or 6 moves, right? In a perfect world, would you have liked to have gotten another draft pick or 2? I think yes. It would be my answer because I still think at the end of the day, this is probably around a 500 team. And that's not going to help you build something better than that in the next 2 or 3 years if you're not trying to get draft capital back, draft assets. But that being said, I can see why people were excited after one game. But let's caution you. What has this team been like? It's been a pendulum, right? Every couple of weeks they look really good, and then another week later they don't look so good. So it's a really interesting, tough decision for a first-year GM. And so I would love to know what the market was like.
I'm with you, Willie. I want to hear from Rand. Like, I was shocked after they traded Kevin Byard that there wasn't going to be a press conference because you traded away your captain. You traded away Kevin Byard. I'd like to at least have some answers to a lot of the questions that we all had after that move happened. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe they'll wait until after the trade deadline, see if any more trades come down the pipe, and then they'll have a press conference. But now the game tomorrow, it looks like that's not going to happen. But I would like to hear the perspective of Rand Carthon of why Kevin Byard and what was the market looking like. And I wasn't overly surprised that the Titans didn't make any moves. If a Danico Autry or a Tier Tart would have been traded for, a 4th or a 5th round pick, I also wouldn't have been surprised. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, they stood pat. That's not the craziest thing in the world. But I also don't think that was for lack of trying. I think they were working the phones. I think they were listening to potential offers. I think there may have been some calls that Rand picked up the phone and said, hey, these guys could be available. What you got for me? Looking for a 3rd round pick. You're willing to do that? Nothing lower than a 4th. They're doing that negotiating back and forth. I do believe that Rand Carthon was doing a good bit of that and the market just wasn't right. And so I don't know that for certain. That's just my belief and my opinion. And I can't fault him for not having the right deal in place. The last thing that I would want Rand Carthon to do is make a move just to make a move. Mm-hmm. But how much do we think the game on Sunday, Will Levis's performance, the win now being 3-4 versus the potential of being 2-5 if they lost to the Falcons, how much do we think that possibly influenced their approach to the trade deadline?
I think it may have. I'm sure they had, plans in place. If indeed, okay, we win this game, what do we try to accomplish, before the trade deadline? If we lose this game, do we push even harder to try to get rid of some of these expiring contracts? So I'm sure you had to have conversations about that. But I just think it got to a point where what teams probably was offering wasn't going to be good enough for the Titans. This is a team, it's not like they, went into the game, only winning one game or hadn't won a game at all. This was a team that, they had won a few games, and everything, I think, was predicated on how we look and if we win this game Sunday, which they did, which puts them back in the playoff picture because the NFL, the AFC is so jumbled up at this particular time. So when you have a victory and it puts you, closer to, a playoff spot, do you then, shake up the whole thing to a point where there's no coming back? Again, you saw what your young rookie quarterback did. You want to keep pieces in place for him to continue that. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I know they didn't want to give up anything to go get players because they don't have much to give up. But
They're in no position to do
why
that.
why did you then not, try to get rid of some of these other contracts, guys that more than likely you're not going to, bring back? Of Fulton, I don't see Fulton coming back next year. Tier Tart, he may not be back next year because he might get a more lucrative contract somewhere else. Denico Autry, does he come back next year? So you would have thought that maybe, you try to get something for those guys, but the way it stands, it seems like they have a belief that they can make a push, and this AFC playoff is not entirely out of the picture for them. Now they may end up sliding in as the last team, with a subpar record, but their thing is, let's just get in. Let's give ourselves an opportunity to get in, and then we'll go from there.
I was really looking at their schedule yesterday, trying to determine, okay, can they get to 10 wins? Are there 10 wins here? And if you're a super optimist, I think you can say, well, maybe if they get on a huge roll and they get a little luck with other teams getting banged up, maybe a team's quarterback goes down. I mean, for example, they play the Texans twice very late in December. The Texans are doing some pretty good things right now. But what are they going to look like in December? I have no idea. That maybe some of their issues will catch up to them, and they'll be a lot easier to beat than they are right now. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's really hard to see what's going to happen in the next several weeks. Who knew the wheels would fall off the Titans at this time last year? You would have laughed. They're going to lose their last 7 games. They're going to be dropping like flies. You would have laughed and said, "Are you kidding me? They got this division, sewn up." So crazy stuff happens. I think it's natural, guys, that when you play like you did on Sunday, and you have an exciting new guy like Levis that gives everybody a shot in the arm, it's human nature that everybody's in there going, we can still do this. We can do it. So I think you'd be crazy not to think that didn't influence them. If they're sitting on the fence and they've got 1 or 2 deals on the table, saying, no, we're going to stand pat.
We talked to Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst, yesterday, and asked him that same question of how much do you think Sunday's game could have influenced the trade deadline, or could, at that point before the trade deadline, could influence what the Titans do. And he said, once you have your mind made up, you can't let one game completely change your game plan. You can't go from everybody's on the table to then saying nobody's leaving, we're going for it. And of course,
Right.
Those are extreme examples, but I agree with that to a certain extent. That if the Titans were willing to part with anyone on that roster, they can't just turn around and say, never mind, we're going for it after just one game
Right.
against a team that good, not great. I don't think anyone views the Falcons as a Super Bowl contender. I do think, though, that the approach may have changed with 2 players, with D-Hop and with Derrick Henry, where maybe they could have listened on offers. Maybe they were willing to entertain possibly a trade for one of those 2. And after Sunday's game, they said, you know what? No. Our young quarterback may be the guy moving forward. And we want to give him pieces like he had on Sunday with a 4-touchdown performance to have those veteran guys to be able to fall back on. And I don't know for certain. We're not going to know for certain. Even if you ask Vrabel or Rand Carthon, they're not going to tell you. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sunday changed just the approach for those 2, D-Hop and Derrick.
Yeah, but I think those were probably, besides sort of out of the ordinary. Maybe they got a call for Jeffrey Simmons. I don't know. Maybe they got a call for Traylon Burks. I don't know. But I think, those 2 guys in particular, because if you don't win this game, the past game, then I think you do have to, think, okay, where do we go from here? What are our likelihood of, going on a run with a young quarterback with this team as it sits? What is the likelihood? Then you make decisions based upon that. Again, I think there were, because Rand in Mike. Obviously, they know football like the back of their hand. So you gotta have, and it's not just Rand and Mike. It's that whole staff and in front office. You gotta have certain plans in place in order to do your job. You can't just say, well, I just got this one thing. And if it happens, great. If it doesn't, no. I think there has to be other plans in place that, okay, if this happens, this is what we do. If this team offers this, okay, we'll think about doing this. I think after that game, especially you look at a guy like D-Hop and D. Henry, the price tag might have went up a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's what you do. You come off a great victory. Hop plays extremely well, the best game he's played since he's been here. And Derrick Henry looks good as well. So it probably just say it went from before the game that week to possibly, okay, I'll take a 6 and 4 for D-Hop or a 5th and a 6th for D-Hop. And yeah, I take a 4th for Derrick Henry.
Oh my god!
But then after the game,
robbery.
After the game, it's not necessarily robbery. You just gotta. I think we're looking at it from the standpoint of names instead of value. What is their value now? Their value to another team may be a little bit higher, but it just depends on who's coming at you. But the actual value of that person to the market is probably a 5th. For D-Hop, or probably a 4th for Derrick Henry. Now you say, well, I'm not going to take a 4th for Derrick Henry. Well, what is the alternative? What if you don't sign him back next year? You get nothing. So to me, after that game this past weekend, maybe the asking price went up just a little bit more. Maybe it was okay, Derrick Henry, give us a 4th and a 5th for Derrick Henry. And teams were like, no, because we only see him as a 1-year deal. Just like what San Fran did. That whole, getting Chase Young, that's just for this year. They're not going to sign Chase Young back next year. They're not, because he's going to want too much money. And they got to play Bosa and some other guys on that defense.
Trade a 3rd-round pick just for half a season.
This is for a Super Bowl run. That's just what it is.
Yep.
This is to win the Super Bowl. The Rams did it 2 years ago. And some of those players, they went to other teams the next following year. This is to win the Super Bowl this year. Kansas City did it with Juju Smith-Schuster. Where was he the next season? He's in New England.
What did they give up for Juju?
I don't know exactly what they gave up. No, it wasn't a 3rd round. But what I'm saying is,
I know
these teams like San Fran, who's so close, Super Bowl means more than draft picks.
What I don't understand is Chicago trading a 2nd-round pick for Montez Sweat.
What? Because they're going to sign him to a longer-term deal.
Are they?
Yeah, I believe that's for the long term. Montez Sweat is for the long term. Why?
2nd-round pick and a new contract?
Yes,
Lord.
but you're talking about a guy that was a top 10 pick. And he's a good player, so you're getting him now so you can then sign him to a long-term contract. You can't pick up a player of his caliber possibly in this year's draft. So you sign him to a long-term deal, give up that 2nd-round pick, sign him to a long-term deal. What San Fran is doing is only for this year, because unless Chase takes a discount, they're not going to be able to sign him to the money he possibly wants. So this is just to win the Super Bowl. So teams are doing that. Why, maybe Kansas City wanted to do it with D-Hop, but the Titans said, oh, we want a little bit more for him. They were like, nah, we're not going to do that. Thank you, but no thank you.
I think you're dead on. I think there are teams that are going for it, and they are mortgaging the future. And sometimes those teams pay a surprising price, for sure. The Chase Young deal is fascinating, right?
Mm-hmm.
A guy that was a high
second pick in the draft.
High first-round pick. Yeah, and has had huge injuries, major injuries. So what's a guy like that worth? That's what's really hard to figure sometimes, is what is the market in the NFL? There are not that many trades at the deadline. Like, if you go to the other sports, I think it's pretty easy to gauge year by year. And the NBA is a little bit of its own thing too, but there are big moves at the NBA deadline, right? Big trades every year. Sometimes with star players. Take last year, right? That was no exception. And then hockey and baseball, I think you get a little, we got a prospect over here. We got a rental player over here. It's pretty standard. I would say the NFL trade deadline. It's a total wild card. But wouldn't you love to wave a magic wand if you were the Titans and say, can we extend this deadline until Friday? Can we play this one game against the Steelers and see if we're 4-4 or 3-5, and then decide if we want to, make some moves here?
Hey, Willie, you need to go to
4 and 3-5 are huge, right?
You need to go to the NFL offices and put in the suggestion box. Extend the trade deadline, please, or move the date
just
a little bit later. Yes,
just for the Titans.
Yeah,
Just give me one more game. There are 11 teams right now in the league that are either 4-3, 4-4, or 3-4. 11. So that's about a third of the league. So you ask yourself too, what is sneaking into the wild card worth to a franchise? Can you give that a thumbs up? Like, I know there was a large portion of the fan base for the Predators last year saying, I'm tired of sneaking in for the last wild card. That's not good enough. I want something better, right? That's it. But I don't hear that clamoring. The NFL's different, right? I don't think the fans are down with that. I think they're okay. It's like, if you make the playoffs, all right, I'd love to see a playoff game.
Make the playoffs, and you can especially justify it by saying we made the playoffs assuming that Will Levis's job, this is his job moving forward. We made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, that's a good twist on it too. If it's Levis leading you to 9-8, then you're like, yes, heck yes, give it to me.
Right. And you're right. It was a very lackluster. I felt like with all of the buzz, it felt more like a buzz-filled NFL trade deadline lead up than maybe it has in recent years.
Right.
Maybe that's just recency bias in me, and I'm going to say the exact same thing next year. But it did feel like there was a whole lot of gossip, a whole lot of buzz, a whole lot of Ian Rappaporting. And the biggest move yesterday was probably Chase Young to the 49ers.
Yeah, because a lot of people thought he was going one place. He ended up going to the 49ers. I think they thought there was a deal in place to, I forgot what team it was, but then, it turns around and it's breaking news that he's getting traded to the San Francisco 49ers. And everybody's thinking like, what?
Yeah.
Like San Fran, richest on top of riches on top of riches. Seriously, the NFL is going to let San Fran do this?
Rich get richer.
Exactly. So,
like an interior offensive lineman going to Jacksonville, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, Jacksonville needed that. They needed to strengthen up their offensive line. So they got a solid player, not a great player, but a solid, guard. Maybe the Titans could have used a guard, then moved him to center that weighed a little bit more than 270. Maybe they could have did that during the trade deadline, but they didn't.
Oh, of course not. Why would you do that?
Exactly. Why would you want to get a beefier, I'm not going to say the FAT word, but beefier individual. Exactly, thick individual.
We're not body shaming on this show.
Exactly. We're not body shaming. So a beefier, thicker, sturdier center.
I think offensive linemen wear the term fat with pride.
Yeah, some of them do. Not all of them. Not all of them.
I don't know if
Referred to
Taylor
as
Lewan
hogs.
does.
Huh?
Some of them are referred to as hogs.
Yeah, there
That's
you
true.
go. Back in the day.
Oink, oink. All right, coming up next, we touched on how much did Sunday influence the trade deadline. What I want to get into is how could the game tomorrow night influence the future of the quarterback position? We'll get into that coming up next, and of course, we'll get into your phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
He breaks down every game
The players are still going to be fine.
and knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Turon Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, we're coming down the stretch of 2023. Now that Halloween is in the books, hey, you're looking ahead. Thanksgiving, Christmas. What about my financial package for 2024? And if you need cash for any of that stuff, Loan Pronto wants you to know that they've got the system in place to get you cash from your home's equity. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you thousands of dollars in as little as 5 days. So if you need cash to address some things, pay some bills, do what you need to do to set your finances in order, pay off the car loan, anything, maybe start a home improvement project for 2024 that you're planning on, you can get that money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact. So the 3% rate is protected. Make sure you hold on to that. And with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line Program, 90% of the time, there's no need for an appraisal, so you can get your money super fast. So get that holiday cash you need. Pay off the credit cards before the new year and get yourself on that solid financial footing. Call Loan Pronto 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we've represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Nashville area attorneys. 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Hey there, are you seeking relief? Perhaps you would just like to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? I'm serious. You can have legal THC products shipped to the comfort of your home. Yup, Comfort in Cannabis is only one website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. Green Trees with a Z.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of two, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. And this month, we have several celebrating their anniversary working with us. From our sales department, Nicola Spencer is celebrating 19 years. From engineering, Ted and Holly, 13 years. And Willy Donick with 102.5 The Game is celebrating 12 years with us at Cromwell Media. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Get ready to dig into the future of construction. Look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with link belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, link belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit ParmanTractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. For example, they sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $13,480. Ours are 40% less with better diamonds. Their 5-carat lab-grown diamond earrings are $17,950. Ours are half that price with better quality, 50% less at Genesis. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
He's the start. Ryan is healthy. If Ryan healthy, he's the guy still. Is that still the case even after Will's performance here over the weekend?
Until Ryan's healthy, I don't think that, I'm ready to, make a determination. I think that's something that could be a possibility. But again, we're talking about hypotheticals, and we'll get Ryan healthy and see where things are at then.
Mike, what's the toughest thing between going from these Sunday to Thursday night games for you guys?
Well, I think that's all about just the players and just making sure that they're ready physically. And today's Thursday. That's how we have to approach this. That today is Thursday, and
so Vrabel's not willing to say, Will Levis is the quarterback moving forward, or if Ryan Tannehill's healthy, he'll be the quarterback moving forward, which can we all agree that surprises none of us. Like, if Mike Vrabel doesn't have to say who the starter is going to be for the rest of the season, he's not going to. But I do wonder, how long is Will Levis's leash? How much will they look at this Thursday, the game tomorrow against Pittsburgh, in their decision for the quarterback moving forward? Maybe their mind is made up. Maybe they saw all they needed to see on Sunday against the Falcons to say, Will is our guy moving forward.
Okay, I want to ask y'all this because I don't even think this is a hypothetical. Will Levis was regarded throughout this year's draft as either the third best quarterback or the fourth best quarterback. A lot of people, projected him to be a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were surprised that he slipped out of the first round. They were actually surprised that he slipped out of the first round. So if the Titans draft him in the first round, essentially he's the first-round talent. They draft him in the first round. Would any of us be saying, they're going back to Ryan Tannehill? Want me to answer that question for you? No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't. Why? Because he's your first-round pick. This is no different. He's essentially a first-round talent that just so happened to slip in the second round. Aaron Rodgers was the same way. I'm not saying he's Aaron Rodgers, but what I'm saying is this. Aaron Rodgers, many predicted, would go higher in the draft. He didn't. He slipped all the way to the end of the first round. Okay? When you put him in, you got to leave him in now because he's your first-round pick. Will Levis is their first-round pick. That's what he is. You can say he got drafted in the second, which he did. Yeah, he's their first-round pick. So just because he wasn't drafted in the first round doesn't mean he's not the future of this team. You don't play this game with him. You let it ride out. Either you win with him or you lose with him. Again, I come from the school of, listen, I don't care if he wins or loses games now at this particular moment. I want to see progression in this young quarterback. I want to see now on a short week, how does he process things with a defense that's going to be a little bit more aggressive. He's going to get knocked down a few times. He may throw an interception. He may throw two. I don't know. But I want to see how this young man then gets back up and plays. That's all I want to see. This job is his to keep. Once they said, okay, because they could have easily said we're going to go to Malik Willis. They could have did that. But they didn't. They said, you know what? We're going to go to the future. And if he shows us anything, we got to ride with him. He showed them a lot. Now, it may just be a one-game sample. He may regress just a little bit. But if they continue to see progression in this young man, not progression that the fans may want to see, another three touchdown or 4 touchdown game, they want to see the little incremental things. If he shows them that, He's the quarterback. Matter of fact, if he doesn't show him much, he's the quarterback moving forward. You can't – I don't know any other organization that basically essentially put their first-round draft pick in and then said, you played bad the second game. Let me pull you back out. No. Once he's in, he's in. This is your seat now, buddy. You reserve this seat until you show us otherwise. And otherwise don't mean this year. This is your seat. Now, run with the team. Do what we believe you can do as a quarterback for this franchise. You don't go back to Ryan Tannehill.
I think I agree with that. Now, I don't mind Mike Vrabel saying, okay, let's just see how the kid does in a hostile environment in Pittsburgh against a really traditionally nasty defense, and let's see if he holds together. It may not look as pretty in that game, and it's week to week, right? It's easy to say, well, we've got our guy, and then 5 weeks down the road, you say, wait a minute, we might need to hold on. Let's take a step back to hopefully take 2 steps forward. Let's take the Predators again, where my world. I think we were all hoping that Phil Tomasino and Luke Evangelista and Juuso Parssinen would pick up right where they left off, all of them, and they would be smooth sailing, and they'd take the next step forward. That would be the perfect world. But as you see, some of them are doing okay. Some of them have taken a step back for now. Some started off well and then took a step back and have been inconsistent. So you hope that they'll all get there. It just may not happen instantly. And so I think that that's realistic for Levis. And so, look, here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see them force a Ryan Tannehill on one leg, go out and hobble around and try to run the offense. I think that is not a choice I'd want to see if I'm Mike Vrabel. I'd much rather see Levis sink or swim, even if it means he has some rough games in there. But there could be a time down the road where Tannehill, in theory, is healthy in about a month and moving around much better. And if Levis is really struggling, then maybe saying, okay, let's take a step back. But ideally, D-Mase, I'm with you. This should be the beginning of the Will Levis era. It's his to lose now.
Here's another example, because I think I'm qualified to speak on this particular one about the quarterback and the young quarterback. When Joe Flacco came in 2008, first game of the season, we beat Cincinnati. He played okay, didn't play great. Then we had a bye week. Damn, we had it so early. Then we beat Cleveland. He did okay, didn't he? Great. And then we lost 3 straight. We lost 3 straight games. And Joe Flacco played okay, subpar in those games. But that organization said, you know what? He's our guy. We're not going back now. He's in there. We know he's progressing the way we want him to. Everybody's gotten used to him now being in a huddle. Everybody's behind him. Everybody's pushing him. He understands his place in his offense. He doesn't need to win us games. We got enough players around. And then we went on a 4 or 5 game winning streak. They didn't go back to, Troy Smith once he got healthy. They didn't go back to another a veteran quarterback, which we did have on that roster. They stayed with the young kid. We're going to win with them or we're going to lose with them. But what we want to see is progression. And they saw progression. We got to the AFC Championship game, I believe, that year with Joe Flacco, or the second round. We ended up losing, but he was the future. There's no need to go back. Will Levis is your future. Regardless of how he plays in this game against Pittsburgh on a short week, he's your future. You ride with him. I don't care if you lose. This is the guy that you hope can be your 10 to 15-year guy.
I'm with you. That I don't think that Will Levis's evaluation should be based off of wins and losses.
Exactly.
He's a rookie quarterback, for crying out loud. I mean, if you lose every single game on the rest of your schedule, yeah, it'd be pretty depressing. And no, it wouldn't make you feel great about the kid, but you could at least take certain things away of, are you getting better? Are you taking care of the football? Are you playing efficient football, efficient quarterback play that Mike Vrabel talks about all the time? He was as efficient as could be this past week. And I'm not saying he's going to have 4 touchdown days every week. I'm not going to say that he's going to have, 50-yard touchdown passes every single week, but can you see him overcome difficulty? Can you see him overcome mistakes? Well, we asked Tim Hasselbeck this question yesterday. about, could you go back to Ryan Tannehill? This was Tim Hasselbeck's perspective on it. After that performance on Sunday, do you think the Titans could go back to Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can. I mean, we have to remember too. Look, this is just 1 week from Will Levis. You have another, week, and it's not the same type of performance. There won't be that same energy in terms of excitement for him. Do I think they can go back to him? I think they can, but let's just say Levis doesn't do what he did this last weekend, but he, throws 2 touchdowns and doesn't have a turnover. Like, I think it'll be harder and harder to continue to go back to him, especially when you look at just the contract situation for Ryan Tannehill in the 2024 season. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I would also just say this is like you've seen, between, just with everything going on in terms of the trade deadline and certainly some activity today, like, I don't believe that is a possibility. And I've seen people saying that, but I can't find the partner where that would make sense.
Yeah, obviously, as we've learned, Ryan Tannehill has not been traded, will not be traded.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear, Tim, that you can say, well, of course there is a possibility, injury, of course, but I think we can kind of throw that out there because it's completely out of our control. And it wouldn't be in the fault of Will Levis losing the job, you just get injured. But I don't want to say I couldn't see it getting to a point where it is so bad that you're like, you got to put him back on the bench. Mm-hmm. But that would be really the only circumstance that I could see there being a switch back to Tannehill. It is really, truly just that bad. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that will be the case.
I agree. That is the worst case scenario. Now, rookies do stumble, no doubt. But let's also remember this. As much respect as we have for Ryan Tannehill, for what he has done over the course of his career, the standard that has been set this year, he is 30th in passer rating. He is 31st in QBR. And we can go down the road, right? His stats are not good at all. This was an offense that couldn't get in the end zone at all. They were struggling in the red zone. And suddenly Will Levis comes in and throws 4 touchdown passes. It's one game, but it was eye-opening how all of a sudden they had something. They had something on offense. Now, it could be a mirage, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see if they can protect him at all in Pittsburgh against a nasty pass rush and one of the best defensive players, maybe one of the best players in the game. I mean, TJ Watt's an MVP kind of guy, right? Can he do anything close to that in Pittsburgh? That's a huge test. But my point is, when Tannehill is ready to come back, and let's not forget that the high ankle sprain lingers, right? He may physically be able to play after this game, but he's still going to have issues with that for another several weeks. And his stats were brutal before that. So it's not like he's trying to beat out Joe Montana. The standard is low.
Yeah, I can
if
see
anyone's Joe Montana in this situation,
I'd
it's Will Levis.
It's not like Willy said. It's not like, and I know we got to quickly get out of here for a second. It's not like, Ryan Tannehill was, he got hurt, but before he got hurt, he threw 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he was averaging over 250 yards per game. Okay, that happened. You put the young guy shows something then. You got to go back to the veteran because he was playing really well. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the case, and his team looked very lethargic on offense.
And even that isn't the most spectacular stat line in the world. And it's still so far off of what we'd seen from Ryan Tannehill. And I stand by the fact that I didn't think Ryan Tannehill was the issue. But once you see a young guy have the performance on Sunday like Will Levis had, it can't justify going back to Ryan Tannehill unless it is, just extreme circumstances. But I want to get your thoughts on this coming up next. 615-737-1025. Again, the question is, how much do you think Thursday night's game has a bearing on the future of the quarterback position? And should it have any bearing on the future of the quarterback position? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We're brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Green
right, Fox 2, run, double catch.
He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Brian Regan.
I heard some states carry out capital punishment at 7 o'clock in the morning. Talk about cruel. Is that guy supposed to get some sleep the night before? Yeah, I think I'm gonna hit the rack, get some shut-eye. Yeah, got a short day tomorrow.
Brian Regan live on stage, June 19th, Ryman Auditorium. Tickets on sale Friday, November 3rd, 10 a.m. at Ryman.com. Sponsored by PNC Bank and AXS, proud partners of Ryman Auditorium.
Today's world is filled with many things that can push us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. Hey, it's Caroline Fenton. And when you choose Black Tie Moving like I did, you get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment, they take the stress out of the process. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. Mention GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off your next move. Let Black Tie Moving make your next move the best move of your life.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. And this month, we have several celebrating their anniversary working with us. From our sales department, Nicola Spencer is celebrating 19 years. From engineering, Ted and Holly, 13 years. And Willy Donick with 102.5 The Game is celebrating 12 years with us at Cromwell Media. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift-giving easy.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
Keeping it local.
The Titans get a big win. Well, Derrick Henry's on the field. It's like, all right, what's going to happen?
And fun.
Bad time to get Florida. They're going to be mad.
Oh, my goodness.
Every day, it's Chase McCabe.
I was sitting here going, I think I'm going to watch Batman 1989 tonight.
And Big Joe Dubin.
That's your plan for tonight? Probably, yeah. I need a night.
The Chase and Big Joe Show. Brought to you by Regal Realty Group. Weekdays at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, tune in to 93.3 Classic Hits this Saturday for MTSU football. The Blue Raiders will kick off at 5 p.m. on the road against New Mexico State, pregame beginning at 4 p.m. Coverage also available on the 93.3 Classic app and at 93.3classichits.com. Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow, will join us in just over 10 minutes. We'll preview Titans Steelers on Thursday Night Football, also the latest with the NFL trade deadline. But let's get into some of your thoughts, because the question that I posed to Willy, to D-Mase, to you, our callers and texters, is how much do we think tomorrow night's game could have a bearing on the future of the quarterback position? And really, should it? Like, should it at all? Is it just Will Levis's job to take for the rest of the season? Ron texts into the text line. Phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Says, if you guys don't believe the Titans can go to a Super Bowl this year, then why do we want to keep winning? We need the high picks in the draft, plus some to get this roster on the right track. So why continue to want this team to get a mid number in the draft like 18 or 20? We need top 10 picks. We can still see what we have in our quarterback and team and still lose to get high picks. I don't know why everyone is so obsessed with the draft. Like, is winning games not interesting? Like, I don't view this team as a Super Bowl contender, but I still want to win football games. Is that it? Is it just Super Bowl or bust?
I think people are looking at, this draft and, if you're trying to get one of those quarterbacks, then, okay, it's like, okay, what are you trying to do here? By putting, Ryan Tannehill in the game or whatnot. But I don't think the Titans are thinking that. Unless, Will Levis just bombs out, which to me still shouldn't justify you wanting to move up in the draft and getting one of these quarterbacks. Obviously, when evaluating these quarterbacks, it takes more than just half a season. Sometimes it takes more than a season to really evaluate these quarterbacks. That's why I said it makes no sense for them to go back to Ryan Tannehill if you're trying to seriously evaluate this quarterback and allow this quarterback to grow. You stick with him through his ups and his downs until you find out, if he's your guy or not. And it seems like, he has the poise, he has the arm strength, the intelligence to be that guy. Now, he's still going to have his ups and downs. But you have to give him an opportunity to cement himself as the starting quarterback. But this game, not too many teams are in the business of tanking, and it's hard to do that in this league because it has to be an agreement, not just with you and management. It has to be an agreement with you and the players. That, and the players are not going to damn agree with tanking, under any circumstance. So this is not, to me, about wins and losses. It's about evaluating your quarterback. And if you just so happen through all of this get a higher draft pick, then okay, fine. But if you don't, at least, at the very least, like other teams either know or trying to figure out, you got your quarterback. Because I don't care if you lose every game. If you don't find that quarterback, you're going to be picking high again. So if I have a quarterback that I believe is my guy, I'm going to let it ride out. We win or lose, fine. It's not about draft. It's not about getting higher in the draft. It's about finding out whether my quarterback can play. If he can play, now we sort of tailor our draft to our quarterback. What does he need to become a better player? And right now, he's going to need a lot more come next season because you got an aging roster with the veterans we talked about, D-Hop and Derrick Henry, at least on the offensive side of the ball, D-Hop and Derrick Henry.
And a stinky offensive line.
And a stinky offense. So you got to try to fix all of this, in free agency, the draft, and then subsequently the next draft as well, because it's not a one-year fix.
I think that's well said. I agree with pretty much everything you're saying. I just continue to be mystified at how many people will go the total opposite in the Titans situation, saying, yeah, let's get into the playoffs. Let's grab that last playoff spot. That would be a good year. As opposed to some of the same people that were saying, I can't watch the Predators lose in the first round of the playoffs again. It's too many. I don't want to see this. But which one is it? Is football that different than hockey? That's what always is really interesting to me.
I think it's in hockey, you look at it, you have to win 4 games to win a series. In football, you win 4 playoff games and you win the Super Bowl. And I think it's the idea, especially the different perspective between these two teams and where they're at, is now with the Titans, you'd make the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. That's
right. I think that's everything. Really,
yeah,
that's essential to the argument for sure. Which direction are you going?
Clay in Clarksville, Texas, says, while Levis's debut was great, I think the bigger takeaway from the game on Sunday was how the team rallied around that performance and everyone seemed to show up and show out. That, I think, speaks more volume. Like D-Mase said, if Will is the future quarterback no matter what, then why not run with him? Give him those reps and develop. That is true. The Titans put out a video of, Will Levis running out of the tunnel and hearing from a lot of the players, like, Will Levis is that guy. Like, Diana Rossini was on with Robbie and Rexford yesterday. She said after that game on Sunday, it did feel like there was a different vibe in the building. And I don't know if that meant front office building. I don't know if that meant locker room. Maybe it was a little bit of both. But it did feel like there was a renewed sense of energy on that team with the performance that we saw on Sunday.
Yeah, there was, and they had the right to be. It was sort of this two-part excitement or relief. The first part was, damn, we looked bad the last time we played. We look bad, and even though we sort of made it a game at the end with Baltimore, we didn't look good as a team. And I think there was this, crossroads, and Vrabel brought that up, a few years ago. Well, last season, I think it was a season before, this crossroads. And I think there was this sort of crossroads. We heard Jeffrey Simmons, what he said, and some other players. And then you have Tier Turk come out with his tweet after the Baltimore game. So you just felt there was something going on in that locker room. And then you trade away Kevin Byard, and then everybody's thinking, oh, man, this is starting to go downhill. But then you get that win, and the quarterback looks good. So not only are we excited about the quarterback, it's a relief. We finally got a win. We got a win so we can, at least for the next couple of days, change the narrative. We can feel good about ourselves. Vrabel even said it. There was something different when they came back into the building Sunday. Not Sunday, but Monday. It was just something different. He said, you never know how this thing is going to go. You never know how guys are going to come in the building, especially when they come in a little bit later. He said, but it felt different. Guys were excited. Why? Because we won a game, got that taste out of our mouths. People can stop talking for at least a week. And then, after it all, our rookie quarterback played tremendous. Guys know this ain't going to happen every week, but at least we saw there was a good glimpse of what the future can possibly look like. Because had he played bad and the Titans lost, it wouldn't have been good around here.
Yes, that's true.
It at least feels like a temporary weight off of the shoulders.
Absolutely.
Of, all right, we got that off our back. We won a game. We won it at home. Homecoming, new quarterback. It just feels like okay, we got one.
Mm-hmm.
Going to circle back and get right for Thursday, but it's nice to get that one. Jonathan Hutton.
I also wonder behind the scenes. Maybe we'll talk about this with Hutton, but behind the scenes in the offices, in the locker room, in the film rooms, what is Will Levis doing behind the scenes? Is his personality infectious? Is he making a good impression? Are the veterans saying, "Okay, I see something here," or are we still in a wait and see? Like I'm really curious what he's been doing these last several weeks behind the scenes to prepare himself for this moment.
It's an interesting question because we can see how he is in press conferences, and he feels very, he's saying all the right things.
Mm-hmm.
Of
right,
we're on to
nobody knows.
and
that doesn't mean anything, right? But D-Mase will know, like, every day, what's he doing? Are people watching him work and saying, "Hey, okay, this guy's working.
Mm-hmm.
I like what I'm seeing." And then when it happens on the field, you're like, "Okay, we got something here." Or is this, wow, this came out of left field. Now to where do we go? There's a difference, but only the players know and the coaches know.
Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow, will join us coming up next. We'll get his perspective of everything that's gone down over the last week, and of course looking ahead to Thursday night football tomorrow night. Jonathan Hutton coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift giving easy.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. This is Nick Frazier. The Tennessee Titans have a short week this week as they travel up to Pittsburgh as they take on the Steelers. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel said in his press conference yesterday who he might go with as the QB this week if Ryan Tannehill is not healthy to go.
Yeah, I don't see Ryan being able to do much today, so I would imagine that, as of today, it'll be Will, unless something changes, so we'll see. But right now, I don't see Ryan being able to do much with the ankle.
As for the Steelers quarterback, Kenny Pickett, Pickett said to reporters that he's playing Thursday night. Pickett came off the field Sunday with an apparent rib injury after a hit and has been considered questionable since then. 3 players with the Titans who did not practice yesterday were Chris Hubbard, Ryan Tannehill, and Chris Moore. News out of the MLB, the Texas Rangers have taken Adolis Garcia and Max Scherzer off their playoff roster due to injury. The Rangers lead the Diamondbacks 3-1 in the series as first pitch for Game 5 is set for 7:03 tonight. I'm Nick Frazier, and you're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 1025 and 1063, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
look at the time. Look at the time.
Look at the time. It is Hutton the Clock. Hutton the Clock here on Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063, The Game. Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mic with Hutton Withrow joins us now. Hutton, it's been a lot the past few days, but let's start with Will Levis's performance on Sunday. How surprised were you to see that, and how much do you think that could have had weight in how the Titans approach the trade deadline?
Well, first off, I was surprised, to say the least, because in the first career start, he's putting up numbers and throwing touchdown passes that we haven't seen through the league in a debut, or we haven't seen from the deep passing game in a debut. We've seen multiple touchdowns before. We saw it with Marcus Mariota, and I think that's why you don't go full gas on the hype machine yet, because in the NFL, life comes at you fast. You celebrate and you turn around and you see you have a Thursday night football game in Pittsburgh. But look, as far as debuts go and signs of the future, in a week where we were discussing Kevin Byard being traded during the bye week, you have multiple reasons to point to why they should trade some of their star power in order to gear up for the draft and gear up for the future. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And where are they going for the postseason? Are they going for a rebuild? What are they doing? And then the storyline, despite all of that over the last 2 weeks, ends up being Will Levis and this team being rejuvenated, having some energy offensively. the defense looks across while they're sitting on the bench and sees touchdowns being scored and knows that there is margin for error now on their side of the football. And it was a very confident offense. And I think that goes to show what a little juice can do, especially coming off of a bye and knowing that it was a very beatable opponent. But also, I mean, I do feel like it was kind of a last stand feel. I was driving to the stadium, guys. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, either watching or going, but it kind of felt like a last stand. You mentioned the trade deadline. Just what's the vibe? What's the mentality? What's the mood? What's reality? And right now, reality is they can contend for a playoff spot with a rookie quarterback that can improve along the way with the best players around them that they didn't trade away.
Do you feel like this team now, and I know that it's one game, I know it's one win, I know you're sitting at 3-4, but 3-4 sounds a whole lot better than 2-5 does.
Sure.
2-5, that's a hole that seems really difficult, if not impossible, to dig yourself out of.
2-5 and going to Pittsburgh, Caroline.
Ooh, on a short week, yikes.
Right.
Do you feel like this team can make a run, at least for the division?
Sure, they can. I mean, we've seen rookies in this franchise come in and play well and lead this team, if not to the postseason, but lead them on a run. So yeah, things could be streaky, and I think what's important here is what Levis did well is more than just throwing. Chicks dig the long ball. It was more than like the Glavin and Maddox commercial back in the day. This was a very locked-in QB. And for what Tannehill was doing and what he's meant to the franchise, we have not seen them move the football in that manner with the receiving core that they've had or didn't have, or they've had D-Hop, and he's been very good. We saw that break out in a big way. And even what Tannehill was doing well, Levis picked up where they left off in that area too, like with play action, for instance. So, yeah, I think it's a big step in the right direction, but also let's make sure that we realize here the rookie is going to have struggles along the way. We just saw the veteran do it. And a lot of that is dependent on offensive line. I mean, all the issues that Tannehill we would bring up for him is going to be faced by Will Levis. And it's about everyone playing the way they did this past Sunday, not just the quarterback. There was a lot of different factors that allowed Sunday to happen, but when it came time for him to make the plays, he stepped up and made the plays, and he didn't try to make the play when nothing was there. And I think the situational awareness is also key with what we saw.
Hut, you're absolutely right. And I think people are, I don't want to use the word scared, but people, they don't want to, because they point to Marcus Mariota in his first year and what he did his first game. But I want to remind you, Marcus isn't the same quarterback as Levis is. When Marcus came out, there was still a lot of questions with his arm strength. And can he throw the ball outside? And he couldn't. I knew that when I watched him play at Oregon. Everything was in the middle of the field. He thrived in the middle of the field. Those hashes were wider, spread you out, hit everything. He never really threw outside the numbers. So you knew, even with a great game that he played his rookie year, you still should have known this kid still hadn't shown he can throw outside the numbers. Contrast that to Will Levis. He can make every throw in the book. Yes,
Massive
he
arm.
will come down to earth some, but people, don't be scared to realize you may have something special here. You may have a guy that can lead you to multiple playoffs, as he's the quarterback here with the Tennessee Titans. Don't be scared and reflect back on Marcus Mariota. Two different quarterback, two different skill sets. Marcus could not spin the ball the way that Will Levis can. And also the poise that he has, you just don't develop that. You don't lose it. He has the poise, I believe, of a veteran quarterback. That's going to take him a long way.
I think we should also mention just, they had the week, from what I'm told, Levis behind the scenes was locked in from the bye all the way through last week. It was a very good plan by Tim Kelly. But what they did Mace, is you're right. I mean, they ran their offense, and look, there's a Derrick Henry factor that you can't just look at numbers and figure out here. The Titans are number one in play action passing yards per game. They're averaging 18 yards per play action completion, and they're averaging the second most play action pass attempts per game. Tannehill is a part of those numbers. He had 462 yards. That's third best in the NFL at the time of injury on play action. Levis steps in on play action and then has 7 completions for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. But that's off of what they're doing with their run game. As while we see Henry close to busting one, it's not. It's just their offense and how it's constructed through the backfield. And now you add in the best rookie arm in terms of just distance, throwing off his back foot. Point. I mean, he was dropping passes in the bucket that weren't even that should have been caught that were not. The touchdown pass to Nick Westbrook-Akine was awesome. I mean, it was just it was one of those days that we'll look back on and you'll say, okay, yeah. I mean, fans shouldn't be apprehensive because of Marcus's one game where Jameis Winston's first pass is an interception by Bleedy Ray Wilson. And then Mariota goes in and, throws for the 4 touchdowns that we saw. I mean, he's in a good situation and he's got the arm to do it. And the question is now, can he build on that? Because he's going to have every opportunity to do it. And I think for the most part, the Titans are going to stick with that as long as the health is fine and as long as the Titans are contending. And this is a locker room, Mace. You can speak to this better than I can, but having been around the Titans for 16 years in the locker room, there was a vibe in some instances where you knew that certain quarterbacks, the defense, the offense, everyone believed that game in and game out that was going to be a factor, right? Mm-hmm. Levis can certainly give that type of energy. There was that boost on Sunday that we saw. Even you don't even have to be in the locker room. Just listen to Jeffrey Simmons mic'd up on the bench. I mean, that is an energy that can't be quantified, and they're doing it with the same type of production that Tim Kelly was trying to draw up initially, where we all agree, I think, that there were plays that Kelly has done offensively leading up to this game where the offense seems to be better than they were a year ago, but on the scoreboard, they're certainly not. And I think in this instance, they've got a quarterback that can really let it rip. And if Hop's going to get if D-Hop's going to get the separation that we saw on Sunday, this can be, while it's going to be a bumpy ride, this can be a really fun ride inside that building and certainly for the fan base as well.
Now, I was going to bring up also the other factors around Will Levis. We saw D-Hop versus man-to-man coverage, and it's like, why are you going to – even if the man can't run as fast, you don't cover him one-on-one without any help consistently, and that's what Atlanta did, and they paid for it. I think Pittsburgh employs something different. They're not going to be a strictly man-to-man defense because that's not who Pittsburgh is. But do you believe that the continued growth for Will Levis also depends on Treylon Burks, him getting himself involved in this offense? Because, again, I think Pittsburgh is going to do a good job at taking away the deep ball because they know the young man can throw it, and that's his strength. Yep. Taking away the deep ball, that's where the big body comes into play of a Treylon Burks and D-Hop for that matter. But I'm looking at a guy that's physical, strong, and fast that hasn't inserted himself in this offense the way he needs to.
I totally agree with you. And it's got to be, going into the season, it was, okay, DeAndre Hopkins can come in and be a number one option, and he's been the number one option for the Titans. Treylon Burks needs to take over that spot, though, right? And he needs to ascend to that level because he was going – before they signed DeAndre Hopkins, he was that guy. It was him. And he's drafted in a position where the expectation is to be good. It's not unfair to expect great things from a young receiver in the National Football League, and that starts with being available. But it also starts with just being consistent, and that's what I want to see from Burks now is just stacking consistent games the way we see from DeAndre Hopkins. The Titans' leading receiver last year was Robert Woods. He ranked 77th in the NFL in receiving yards, 530 yards, 77. And already this season, DeAndre Hopkins has 504 yards. He ranks 21st in the NFL. D-Hop has come in and been more than worth the investment. And now it's time for Treylon Burks to be worth the investment of the 16th overall pick in the NFL draft. That's just the reality of where he is, where he was drafted, and who they traded away whenever they drafted him. And he is a part of the future, just like Will Levis can be. So, yes, it's on him. And by the way, Chikakonkwo, catch the football. Like, as much as it is about Burks and Hopkins, Chikakonkwo needs to catch the football. And if we're discussing Levis's day, imagine if Okonkwo catches that pass right before half and where those numbers could be. Again, like, a lot of things went right, and we still see things that can improve around the quarterback. It's not all on Will Levis. It wasn't all on Tannehill. The same guys that need to step up are the same guys that remain out there for Levis too. And that certainly starts with Treylon Burks.
I wonder how much of it is mental with Chig right now. The drop.
I think it has to be,
whatever.
Willie.
And there's also I also see mechanically the smoothness. He's doesn't have the quiet feet. Some of those things that you look for with hands, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Yes.
You're right. He is a huge piece to the puzzle here that they've got nothing from. Now, let's talk about this matchup tomorrow night, because we have this image of the Steelers, right? Tough place to win, nasty, not going to beat themselves, great defense. And a lot of that is true. But if you look at the stats, Hut, they've got some major issues. They are very fortunate, I think, to be 4-3. They've been hardly dominant whatsoever. They've won some very close games where you kind of say they pulled a Houdiniac. As bad as the Titans' passing numbers are, Kenny Pickett in the passing offense for the Steelers not much better, and they have a very poor running attack. This is a great opportunity for the Titans' defense to sort of pick up the slack and say, yes, our defense can win us a game.
Yeah, well, that's it. The defense is going to have to get some turnovers. And you're right. The Canada offense will provide. This is also, I think we can have another great game from Levis. I do, because the environment is not an easy one to play in. But they've already lost. The most lopsided loss in the Tomlin era happened this year by the 49ers, and then they turn around and lose again at home to Jacksonville. It's a place you can go and win, and it's an offense that's not going to put up a ton of points. So I feel a lot like I did just looking at the scoreboard this past weekend. The Titans put up 28, and that's unheard of if you're a Titans fan. The Titans can win that game tomorrow doing a similar style, but it doesn't have to be on the arm of Levis. I think this can be a grind it out. They want to muddy the waters a bit type performance where you're going to rely on your run game. And I think a part of that too is just the offensive line play, knowing that Dillard is going to be inserted there due to injury, and what this pass rush can do, and how the pass rush for Pittsburgh can take over a game and quickly send you to the loss column when you felt like you were playing well enough to do something better than leave Pittsburgh with another loss at Heinz Field. So, yeah, I mean, this is a beatable Steelers team. It's also a very solid, well-coached group, and they play in a division where week in and week out they hold their own. So I look around and think, well, can Levis have a similar performance? And if he throws the pick, and look, I think we're going to see him face some adversity. How does he respond to that in a sudden change, or respond to a bad play and not let it get to his head? Have the same type of heady performance that we've seen in 2021 when he's at Kentucky and what we saw last week. Not everything's going to be great, and this is going to be a game packed with some moments where you want to stay on the field. Just keep the offense on the field and sustain some time of possession and let Henry go to work. I think they're certainly capable of that. But I hesitate to say the Titans are going on the road to win, and it's because, Willie, of the defensive front for Pittsburgh, and knowing that they have to be game planning, thinking this is a game where we can take over as well.
I would love to see Tajay Spears still get the ball three or four more times a game. I still want to see him in open space. I think there's something there. There's another level there. Let me ask you this, Hut. The Titans have been completely different when they have played at home compared to on the road. And let's couple that with the line in this game. The line is 2.5 in Pittsburgh with a rookie quarterback. That ought to tell you something about how the Steelers have played. Because, and this is my biggest question, is can the Titans protect the quarterback and do some of the things that they just flat out have not been able to do at all on the road? To me, if it looks anything like it has at home, then I really think they have a very good chance of winning this game. But if they play like they've played on the road, which is a very bad team, then it could get ugly tomorrow.
Yeah, it can. Look,
so what is it about being on the road? Like in the NFL, home field advantage is not nearly what it seems, right? The road teams find a way. The crowd and everything like that, it's not as big of a deal as you might think. So why has it been so extreme for the Titans?
Well, I think extreme for the Titans has just been, first off, let's start with the first road game of the season. I don't know why they threw the ball as much as they did for a head coach that says he doesn't want to get into drop back passing situations. It's like, I can go week by week here. And there are, and Willie, the other part of this, they're not playing I mean, it's cliche, but the complementary style of football that we saw, Ryan Stonehouse punting 5 times inside the 20, the field position type battle. They've been winning those at home. And they've also played they've played some defenses at home that they can take advantage of. I realize Atlanta statistically was pretty good, but just seeing some of the play in the secondary and the arm of Levis, that plays a whole factor in that. And let's also factor into on the road, the O-line has had some penalties due to noise or just, bad play that has really struck them and bit them. And now they're in a really good spot to go on the road and start with stacking some wins. You get a long weekend if you can do it. Coming back from the bye, you pick up 2 wins and you move forward against Tampa. It's a good spot for them, also a bad spot just given how they've played on the road. And the fact that this has been a team, home or away, where you have to rely on your defense to be dominant. They have to be the storyline. The front 7 has to be the storyline. And when they're not, they've been losing games. And on the road, we've seen the stars of the Titans not be the star power in the game description after the game. And that's got to be a huge factor in this. Jeffrey Simmons needs to be the top player at his position on Thursday night. He needs to be exactly Big Jeff that we know he can be, the disruptor, just like we're going to see from TJ Watt. And Simmons gets to do it against Kenny Pickett, who's banged up. He says he's playing for sure, but I mean, that Simmons is looking for a reason to go after the midsection of Pickett. This is, I like where the Titans go into this game. Short notice, short turnaround, I should say. But look, this is not the Steelers offense that's going to grind it and win a tight window ball game. Especially at home where the fans are eager to boo the offense more than cheer the offense when the game kicks off.
Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow. Hutton, always appreciate our weekly visits. Thanks for stopping by. We'll chat next week.
Always enjoy this, guys. You guys have a great week. Enjoy the game tomorrow.
Awesome. You too. Thanks, Hutton. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Hutton, he is the very best. Appreciate him for stopping by. Now, coming up next, Ryan McDonough will join us. Normally, a Preds player will join the Chase and Big Joe show, but given the long road trip, given that they're on the West Coast, Ryan McDonough will join us. So we will chat with him coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
When you want all the
going in and the score, blast the score. He risks one, they score.
And don't forget the
oh, what a stop! Sliding across to make the save. Backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, let's give you the latest about F&M Bank. Look, every Friday we take it to the bank on our show. We give out our fun predictions for the coming weekend, and I have been awful. But I got a little bit of life. I got something right last week, so I'm not going to get a perfect 10, but I'm going to get at least some points. But I have a long way to go in that. But if you're sitting there going, banking is just not my thing, I want to keep it simple, it's too complicated, I don't like thinking about it. Well, think about this. The motto for F&M Bank is banking made easy on purpose. Whatever your banking needs are, F&M Bank is there to serve you with the 20 convenient locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. Everybody has different financial goals these days. Yours might just be, hey, look, I just got to get on solid footing. I don't want to think about it. I want some help to keep it simplified. Maybe a new savings account, maybe a business-to-business loan. Whatever your needs are, F&M Bank is a full-service community bank. They're usually located right in the middle of your community. They're there to help you make your financial decisions easier on purpose. Pretty easy stuff, and it works really well. Go to myfmbank.com. Find your nearest location. The branch in Franklin and Mount Juliet are right on Main Street. Murfreesboro, Lebanon, Springfield, on Memorial Boulevard. Hopkinsville, White House, Lebanon. Anywhere that you're listening, you're probably going to have one right in the middle of your community. myfmbank.com. Take it to the bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's getting colder quickly, and a lot of you are probably firing up the heater for the first time this season. If your system is older or having lots of issues keeping your home warm already, it's probably time for an HVAC replacement. There's no better time to replace your system than right now. Hiller is having their biggest sale ever on select HVAC systems. Get up to $2,600 off a new system until November 15th. This is the biggest discount they've had in years. That's Hiller. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season. I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text STREAK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text STREAK to 42424. That's STREAK to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue is your home for hockey action all season long. They are Predators approved and all the games are on, and they'll even give you the sound. Get awesome game day drink specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. When you think hockey, think Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, or Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue. Go Preds!
This year, Staples will not be celebrating the holidays. Instead, we're celebrating the Holiday Deals with amazing savings for the holiday season. Save 50% on custom holiday cards, save 50% on custom invitations, and save 50% on custom photo gifts like mugs and calendars. During Staples Holiday Deals, it's not about the ho-ho-ho, it's about saving do-do-do. Save 50% on custom cards, invitations, and photo gifts today at Staples. Ends 12/16. Visit staples.com/print for more details.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025, The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs tomorrow from 5 to 7 p.m. for our NFL pregame show. They'll break down the Titans' Week 9 matchup against the Steelers and give you the latest updates before the game. Our award-winning NFL pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and the Beast Unleashed. And joining us now is Predators defenseman Ryan McDonough, who normally would join the Chase and Big Joe show, but given the long road trip and given that they're on the West Coast, joining our show today, and we are so glad that he's here. Ryan, appreciate you for joining us. You know, looking at the Pred season so far, it's been kind of up and down. You win a couple, you lose a couple, you have, quick starts where it looks tough, and it looks like that Predator way is coming to fruition. And then you see some games where it might be a little bit of a slower start, where the intensity maybe isn't as high as we've seen in previous games. Through the first few games of the season, how would you characterize where this team is at?
Yeah, I mean, you summarized it pretty good, right? We've had some ups and downs, some great games, some not so great. But now we've got, a large enough sample size where I think our group realizes, what makes us successful, what gives us the best chance to win. We've seen both sides of it now through 9 games. But I think we're still gaining more confidence within our system, within our structure. I love the pace that we play at. When we're really skating, we're keeping teams under duress. We're not spending a lot of time in our zone. But certainly I think, our execution, puck management, some decision making, that's stuff that we've got to continue to look at and work at. But overall, I think guys feel going into the game, we have a chance to win every night with the group that we have and the system, the coaches, the way they prepare us. So that's a good feeling to have early on here in the season.
Ryan McDonough is with us, and a lot of those inconsistencies could be a product of having a fairly young team. But you are a veteran presence in the locker room, kind of viewed as maybe the moral leader for some of these young guys. How do you view your role in finding a little bit more consistency for some of these young guys?
For sure, yeah. Myself and the other vets, we have to lead the way. We have to, be ready right from the start of the game, play the right way, and show these guys, what it takes each night. And you want to be that guy that's counted on by your team. I mean, you play a lot of minutes, you play some situations, special teams. You've got to execute and you've got to come through. So that's on all those guys that all of us that play a lot of minutes and are expected to. Carry the load, so to speak. We've got to make sure we're bringing it every night. And if we're not there, holding guys accountable and holding ourselves to a high standard here. That's what we want, is have a high standard, expectation that every night it's going to be a tough night when you're playing the Preds, and we're going to find a way to win as many hockey games as possible.
Ryan McDonough, Preds defenseman, is with us. And kind of, looking at the opposite end of that question, it's something that we've seen recently with the Titans, going with a new young quarterback. It's kind of energized the locker room a little bit. For you, as a veteran, someone who's been in the league a long time, what's that like for you to be working with so many young and inexperienced players?
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of the league. You need your youth guys, to come up and make a difference, be X factors for you, be big time players. I mean, you draft players, you make trades, you pick up guys in waivers. You're always looking at ways to improve your team, and you do that mostly by drafting and adding young guys. And so for us and for our team, we're excited about the group of guys that we have, and we're adding to it. It seems like every couple of weeks here we pick up a new waiver claim, and it's a young forward or young player coming in. And like I said, we want to have a very welcoming room that's tight knit, and also a room that expects a lot out of each other, and that's what we're trying to establish here.
We're talking with Ryan McDonough. Now, Ryan, you and Alex Carrier have taken on a lot of minutes as of late, and how do you? Because I see it as a doubles sort of thing in tennis. You got to know the partner you're playing with. very well. And it seems like now that you and Alex Carrier are picking up a lot of minutes together, what is it about his game that you like and that you see that makes this combination between you and how you and him work so well?
Yeah, no, I agree. I've loved the start of the season that we've had together. We've now played a handful of games together. I mean, first and foremost, he skates so well, and that's obviously got to be a huge asset as a defenseman in this day and age game. If you're not able to skate, gap up, break the puck out by yourself at times, get your feet going, join the offense, all those things come from being a good skater. So Carrier has that for sure. He can get up and get in the face of guys. And, for a smaller stature guy, he's not afraid to throw his weight around. He's, willing to block shots, which, everybody on our team is expected to do that and help us win games that way. And I just love this. His confidence keeps growing. He's got a little bit of special teams work on the power play and obviously killing with me on the penalty kills. So, yeah, he's getting a lot of minutes, a lot of looks in situations, and you can see his confidence growing. And for us, it's been a good start to the year. We know we're expected to shut down other teams' top players, and that's a role that we want to do to the best of our ability.
Now, there are certain milestones that you reach in this game, and some people may look at it and say, okay, yeah, but other milestones, it comes because of, you're doing the right things. You're on the ice a lot. You look at a guy like Ryan O'Reilly. He's coming up on his 1,000 game. How do you see him as a player and as a leader? Because he has to be doing something right in order to play that many games.
Yeah, it is incredible. I mean, I've played against him for many years and heard a lot of great things about him as a teammate, former teammates of his. So to be able to play with him now for, a month and a half, you can see the reason why he's, now just as of last night hit his 1,000th game. And, I mean, he prepares, just as much as any player I've ever seen. He's there early on game day mornings. He's rarely ever taking the option in the mornings. He's always out there working on his skills and getting his touches in. And, come game time, he's just really dialed in on his preparation, his routine, his focus. He's as consistent as a player as you can find. You know what you're going to get every night. He holds himself to a high standard, and he just kind of bleeds through the rest of the room the way he carries himself. So last night was obviously a great night for him and a great night for our team. For like I said, a lot of young guys to see somebody play their 1,000th game. And as you grow and spend more time in this league and play longer in this league, you just appreciate those guys that hit those milestones because you know how tough it is, and with injuries and staying in and out of the lineup. It's a privilege every day to play in the National Hockey League. And so for him, he's earned that milestone night, and it was unfortunately we couldn't get the win, but credit for all of his hard work over the years.
We're talking to Predators defenseman Ryan McDonough. Ryan, you've been a captain in this league for a long time, as has Ryan O'Reilly, and now Roman Josi, of course, is putting together several years as a captain. I'm curious how the three of you guys work together, because you've all been there. Roman obviously has been there from the start of his career. You got there last year. Ryan's just kind of learning the group. But how do the three of you work together to try to, as Caroline was asking you about, sort of set the table for everybody in that room, especially that young nucleus?
Yeah, I think obviously we've got great leadership. You mentioned the three of us, but even beyond that too, with guys like Forsberg, Colton Sissons, Nyquist, Tyson Berry. But I think we've got a great group that's just really unselfish. There's no egos with our group. Guys are really just trying to do whatever they can to help the team win every night, to help the team improve every day in practice or whatnot. So we definitely kind of bounce things off each other. We've had a lot of games in this league and experienced a lot of different things. So we're always trying to look at ways to help each other, whether it's individually or team-wise or another player on the team. And like I said, we're kind of open to anything and any suggestion or idea that we have to get the team better. And so I think that's obviously an awesome trait of us is to have that unselfishness, that willingness to do whatever it takes. And we all kind of pick our roles as far as when to step up, when to speak, when to make arrangements, get the team together, all those things. we've got a good balance there. And like I said, many more guys extended just from the guys wearing the letter. So it's an awesome group of veterans that we've got here in Nashville.
You were a regular player in the league at 21, 22 years of age. There's some guys on this team that are going through that right now. And I've seen, and you've seen it now, a guy like Yusuf Parson who's had some big moments already, but he's had some struggles as well. You know, that you can go right down the roster, Tomasino and Evangelista, guys who are really critical for the big picture. When you think back to that time and you go through those ups and downs where maybe for 1 day or 2 days you're like, yeah, I've got this, I'm going to make it. And then maybe you have a couple of rough days and you're sort of reminded that you still have a lot to learn. What is that process like?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's pressure, the pressure you put on yourself, all that hard work that you do to prepare. You want to play in the NHL. You want to make a name for yourself, make a living for yourself, have a great career. But you know it's not just a smooth ride. And anybody that, doesn't matter if you've played 1,000 games, 1,500 games, it's never a smooth ride as far as life in the NHL. But you have to remind yourself that you're here for a reason, and you've got to stick to what you do best. Be who you are, and that's kind of what I say to these guys. You know, a lot of times is make your plays, do your thing out there. Like, you're here for a reason. You're on this team. You're put in the roles. You're going to be put in situations to succeed. So you just go out there and trust your instincts and be confident in yourself. So no doubt. I mean, like I said, you have ups and downs, but you learn from them. You take the lessons from them, and you know, only help you grow a little thicker skin here along the way. And like I said, come back, you know, even better, hopefully the next day. So I've loved the attitude of the guys, and like you said, there has been a lot of moving parts, guys in and out of the lineup. But like I said, I think we've got a great group that no matter who's in the lineup that night, everybody's pulling for each other, which is awesome.
Strange game last night. Maybe it was because it was on Halloween. I thought the puck was bouncing all over the place. Guys were falling down. It was a little bit odd there. But I want to ask you about the special teams. Of course, the penalty kill is so big, and I just look at guys like Pedersen and Hughes and some of the other power plays you guys have faced, and I'm curious your thoughts as you watch it, because of course the penalty kill has got to be better for your team going forward here. But these guys bring a lot to the table. That Pedersen shot, the way Hughes moves the puck, it's awfully tough to stop, even if you've got the scouting right. So how do you try to gain confidence and get better in those areas?
Yeah, I mean, penalty killing is a fine line. You know, you think you're going well for a while, and all of a sudden, you know, you've got two in a row in the back of your net, and you kind of feel like you've got to go back to the drawing board. But no, I think with our group, obviously, we've got a lot of the similar penalty killers back from last year. You know, maybe added O'Reilly that's killing a little bit more for us, and some other guys along the way here. But you know, you have to trust your process and realize how important the littlest details are and the littlest plays on the penalty kill, whether it's, you know, a rebound and a puck going in the corner. You know, how do you get that puck out and get it cleared all the way? Because, you know, as you can see last night, you know, we had a couple opportunities in that one penalty kill they scored on to maybe get a puck down and just didn't get the job done. And then, you know, you get a little bit exposed when you're fatigued and tired late in the penalty kill. But I think our group understands those little details, and we'll keep adding as far as repetitions go here throughout the season, just picking up on little cues, where to be better, where we can execute better, and trust our group out there, because we've got a great coaching staff that prepares us there, and you know, we know we have to be a difference maker and have to be better as far as keeping the puck out of our net there on the penalty kill, and we'll make sure we're doing whatever we can to execute better.
All right, Ryan, last one. I've asked you about this before because I am a total sports geek who grew up in Orlando, and I watched your uncle. Now, D-Mase, I want to hear your reaction to this, because D-Mase is a contemporary of mine. Ryan's uncle is Steve Walsh. Now, you remember the U and those teams. Now, yeah, I knew you were going to have that reaction, D-Mase. That was must-watch TV every Saturday. So I love asking. I know I've done it before, but Ryan, tell D-Mase what it's like for Steve Walsh in his role in your family, maybe some influence. You're quite a bit younger than he is, but man, he was really something to watch, and his team is one of the most memorable college football teams that I think we watched, D-Mase and I, growing up.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I was born, obviously, in 1989 there when he was coming through the college ranks, so was Miami, so obviously didn't really get to see it in person, but I've watched the games on replay now when I've gotten older. But even as a young kid, being able to go to those NFL stadiums and watch him play, he was so good about taking care of me, my brothers, my cousins, and all of us that were, catching the game in Minnesota. We'd go to Green Bay, and he'd take us down on the field in Lambeau Field and in the locker room, meeting some of the players. Those are great memories that definitely stuck with me as far as wanting to become a pro athlete. Obviously, it wasn't the same sport, but just the little lessons that he's taught me along the way here have been huge as far as respecting your opponents and always taking care of your teammates and looking after each other. And obviously, as a quarterback, you're the most important player on the team, so everybody's looking at you and how you handle pressure and how do you handle expectations. So many life lessons that he's helped me with and been a role model for me still to this day. So, great memories for our family and growing up definitely helped shape who I am and the athlete and person I am today.
Ryan McDonough, Predators defenseman. Ryan, appreciate you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of this road trip.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks a lot for having me.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Appreciate Ryan McDonough, Predators defenseman, for his time and for stopping by. And hey, you can make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at thegamenashville.com or the 1025 The Game app as we approach week 9 of college football and week 8 of the NFL. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
Whether it's college football,
Players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia.
Or the NFL.
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt-free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willy Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. For example, they sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $13,480. Ours are 40% less with better diamonds. Their 5-carat lab-grown diamond earrings are $17,950. Ours are half that price with better quality, 50% less at Genesis. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Attention all fire protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC experts. Jarrett Companies are looking for experienced field technicians like you. Tired of working for your large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett's Fire Protection, Commercial Plumbing, and HVAC divisions are owned and operated by Nashville natives who want you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we'll also provide you with top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and our business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to JarrettCompaniesInc.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT CompaniesInc.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Get ready to elevate your game day experience. Titans fans, it's all happening at Mimo Bar on Titans Terrace. Just a short walk from the bridge at First and Demumbrian. They've got your epic pregame and postgame covered. With their Italian classics and sensational cocktails, your senses will be on a joyride. And hey, listen to this. Everyone at the Titans Terrace gets a chance to bag a Gibson Guitars merch bundle, a $100 Mimo postgame gift card, or a weekend brunch for two. So why wait? Mimo Bar, where Nashville's heritage meets Italian flavor.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Tune into 94.9 The Fan this Saturday at 6:45 p.m. for our college football game of the week. LSU at Alabama, presented by Twin Peaks. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all of the hottest college football games across the country and home of the 29-degree beer. We've got some thoughts in our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, so unless you have thoughts,
Let's go to those phones.
let's get to the phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dustin in Hopkinsville, Kentucky texts in about the Titans and says the whole Titan team as a whole hit the reset button on Sunday. Levis spilled over into the defense. In their minds, they're 1-0 and can beat anyone now.
I would have thought that. I would have thought that after the Bengals game. You know, that's the weird thing about this league, the up and downs. I love how Ryan McDonough was saying, there's just not a smooth ride, right? When you go through this long season, it's so the best teams emerge, the ones that can put that consistent effort in every week. So I still look at the Titans team and I still see ups and downs, but maybe I'm wrong. Like I would love for that to be the story. It would be a great story.
Yeah, it would be. But the defense still gave up their fair share of big plays, missed tackles. They allowed, Tyler Heineke to come in and almost come back and, put that team in a position to win. So there was some good done by all three phases, but they still need to get better, I believe, on defense. And offense, too. I think they can get a lot better. Guys need to show up and play. But from a defensive standpoint, there are things they can do better because, Tyler coming in and performing the way he performed and putting that team in a position to potentially win. I mean, that defense played well, but they could play better.
Was it Bijan Robinson who Taylor Heineke tried to hit on the 4th and 1? Did he throw it? It was Bijan Robinson, right?
That last one? No,
yeah.
That was Jefferson. That was
Van Jefferson.
Yeah, Van Jefferson.
That was Van Jefferson.
Ravenwood High School.
All right, go Ravenwood. If he catches that ball, we could be talking about a different game.
Yes.
It could be different, but that's
it got a lot more hairy than it seemed like it was. Like it seemed like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. They're going to win. Like you never thought they were going to lose, but all of a sudden it was like, man, this is getting a little too close.
It got a little too uncomfy for my liking, but
yeah.
If that's all it takes is Van Jefferson dropping a ball that he should have caught on 4th and 1. Well, I mean, that's the NFL. I mean, sometimes you are gifted wins on Sundays in the NFL. Sometimes you blow teams out. Sometimes you get blown out. Sometimes it's close and it comes down to something like that. I mean, and you still don't step away from that game feeling disappointed that the Titans could have lost it. You obviously step away from that game feeling excited and encouraged about what this team could be, what Will Levis could be. But, margin of error in the NFL is razor thin.
And quickly, Bijan Robinson still averaged close to 6 yards per rush. So let's not lose sight of that, because this is a team that prides themselves on stopping the run. They were not able to do that. Now, he only rushed the ball 11 times, but he averaged 5.6 per carry. So as much good as we saw from the defense getting to the quarterback, getting a fumble recovery, Simmons knocking the ball out of their hands, then it being recovered, Simmons just being a presence, they still gave up too many yards rushing the football.
Yeah, and do we see hope from Landry? That was his most noticeable game, I think, so far. In this glass half full, hit the reset button, can Landry have a better second half going forward? How big would that be if that could happen?
Yeah, I think we saw a glimpse of it late in the Baltimore game in London.
Yeah.
And then we saw a good game from him on Sunday. But, yeah, it's because I think rightfully so the conversation is about Will Levis and the future with Will Levis and the day that Will Levis had on Sunday. But it's almost like you have to get back to reality really quick, because now you're going up against TJ Watt on Thursday. You go from an Alabama team Alabama, Micah. I got Bama on the brain.
The Alabama Falcons.
I got Bama on the brain this week. Atlanta.
Did they move to Birmingham?
Hey, they're close enough. They're
they're both A, and they're both in the South. Cut me some slack here.
You're trying to get to the SC championship. I get it, Kelly. It's okay. It's all good.
I don't know if I'm trying to fast forward to Saturday or just get past Saturday. But an Atlanta team that doesn't put a whole lot of pressure on the quarterback. Well, welcome to Pittsburgh, because you're about to get smacked in the mouth. So it's almost like, okay, let's snap back to reality, enjoy what Sunday was, but also keep it into context. Coy in Clarksville, Texan said, Jared is saying that Rand is a bad GM. I don't know. I didn't hear Jared say that, to be completely honest with you. But I'm not going to say that Rand is a bad GM.
I'm sure he did at some point. And then next week he'll say he's a great GM.
I will let you take that up with Jared. If we don't even really know what Rand does, I cannot say if he is a good or a bad GM. But going back to a conversation we were having earlier, I do want to hear from Rand.
Yeah.
What happened at the trade deadline? Why did you feel like that was a good enough return for Kevin Byard? Do you still, or how confident do you feel that if this team gets into a situation where it's a must-win game to win the division, do you feel like you won't need Kevin Byard in order to win that game? I do want to hear from Rand at least.
Yeah, I think we, I think we deserve to hear from Rand in regards to what was the team thinking heading into the trade deadline. So, why make the move on Byard and then not make any other moves? Those are things that, we would like to hear. And I think, the fans are owed that. You traded away one of the cornerstones of your team. And I think fans deserve it. And hopefully I do believe he will address it soon here. But whether Jared say he's a bad GM or not, I think it's too soon. I'm not going to sit here and say whether he's a bad GM or not. Damn it, I'm not qualified at this because he hadn't made enough moves.
He's a first-year GM.
Yeah, to say whether Rand's a bad GM or not. I said to you, Caroline, off air, I said, listen, maybe I didn't hear Jared say that because, I listened to the show from here to my house, and then once I got in the house, started doing other things. But I think with Jared, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and sometimes it seems personal, and if you don't know Jared, you would think it's personal, when in actuality it's really not personal. But I think sometimes he can dig, and be sort of venomous with his words that you think it's personal with particular. He did it with David Poyle. So was it personal with Poyle? No, but that's what he was feeling. I can see the same thing happening with Rand. I don't think it's ever personal. I just think the way it comes off, and when you hear it, you may think it's personal, and you may think he's just going at him for no reason. But listen, Jared has his reasons for doing what he does. His show is great, and but I didn't hear him say Rand was a bad GM. Now, I wouldn't put it past him to say that, but I didn't hear him say that, okay? I'm not saying Jared didn't say it, but I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it either. I'll take the texter's word for it.
But it depends on what it's. He may not have used that word, but there have been when somebody's super critical and takes a hard opinion, right? That's the perception that a listener gets.
All right, Jerry Dulock of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He covers the Pittsburgh Steelers. He will join us coming up next for a little Titans-Steelers Thursday Night Football preview. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals. This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
SEC basketball lives right here in Nashville, and you don't want to miss out as the Vanderbilt Commodores tip off the season. With a variety of budget-friendly ticket options, you can be there for all of the Memorial Magic. Led by SEC Coach of the Year Jerry Stackhouse, the men's team host home games against Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, and a whole lot more. And Coach Shea Ralph and the women's squad will take the court against the likes of LSU, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. For tickets or more information, go to VUCommodores.com or call 877-44-VANDY.
Exergen thermometers are proven to be more accurate than non-contact thermometers. With children back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Clinical studies have proven that non-contact thermometers are inaccurate and can miss fevers. Accuracy matters. That's why the Exergen thermometer is trusted and used by medical professionals. Exergen thermometers are available at Walmart and other participating retailers. Choose a trusted and accurate thermometer for personal use. Learn more about why accuracy matters at Exergen.com.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. This is Nick Frazier. Last night, the first college football playoff rankings came out. In the top 25, the Tennessee Volunteers were 17th in the rankings, and the top 4 teams were Ohio State, Georgia, Florida State, and Michigan. And more news coming out of college football with Michigan's sign-stealing scandal. Connor Stalions, the culprit of the sign-stealing scandal. There are now images circulating around the internet of someone who is resembling Stalions dressed up in Central Michigan's sideline attire during the Michigan State and Central Michigan game earlier this season. The images are being investigated by Central Michigan, and the athletic director Amy Follen put out a statement that they could not comment at this time. Tune in this weekend as the MTSU Blue Raiders take on the New Mexico State Lobos. Kickoff is set for 5 p.m. with pregame coverage beginning at 4 p.m. on 93.3 Classic Hits. I'm Nick Frazier, and you're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move.
For more, follow us on Twitter. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
It was pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. And joining us now is Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He is the beat reporter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There, Jerry, appreciate you for joining us. Thursday night football, Titans on the road at Acrisure Stadium, which I almost got called Heinz Field. I will catch myself doing that a few times.
It's Heinz Field to me. It's Heinz Field to me.
Jerry, just for a little bit of perspective, what's kind of the vibe? Where are the Pittsburgh Steelers coming into this game on Thursday night?
Well, Caroline, don't worry about the slip up of Heinz Field. We all still do it all the time. It happens frequently here in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you where the Steelers are. The Steelers are a team that doesn't score a lot of points. They hang around like bad in-laws waiting for a break, turnover, but their failure to score points, that hasn't been just this year. 5 to 7 games, they've scored only one touchdown. Go back even to last season. 9 of the last 13 games, they've only scored one touchdown. So, during the offseason, Art Rooney II, the team president, when he was asked, where does the team need to improve in 2023? He didn't even hesitate. His first words were score points, and they still don't. And it's eventually going to cost the offensive coordinator his job unless something drastic happens in this second half of the season. I don't foresee that happening. Their defense, it's not bad. They don't stop the run very well, but they're on the field a lot. Too many 3-and-outs by this football team, especially to start the game. Offensively. And so they put their defense in a hole, and they're taking the ball away. But, they're playing from behind. And so, Baltimore handed the Steelers the game. The Rams handed the Steelers the game. To the Steelers' credit, they took it. They were making mistakes and turnovers and stupid decisions, but the Steelers took advantage of it. Now, this past game against Jacksonville, Jacksonville did the same thing, turned the ball over 3 times. But the Steelers couldn't do anything with it. So that's where they are at 4-3. They're probably lucky to be 4-3. It's actually surprising they're 4-3 is what I should say.
Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette is with us, and that has been, one big talking point throughout this season is how much the Steelers have struggled offensively. Now, do you expect, if Kenny Pickett is back on Thursday, which I saw he spoke with reporters earlier this week that he did expect to be back Thursday, do you think that could add some, oomph to this offense, or is it really truly just a Matt Canada problem?
Yeah, well, I think it's several problems because, Kenny Pickett has not been very sharp except in the second half. The difference between the first half and the second half with him has been alarming, especially when you look at the first quarter to the fourth quarter. He's missed open receivers. He looks skittish in the pocket. He hasn't played very well at all in the first half of games. So I don't look at it as him playing is going to be any additional benefit to an offense that has struggled. But because of the Thursday game, practice is closed to the media today, but I have been told today's practice, even though Kenny Pickett said he will play, and I don't doubt that he will, but I was told that today's practice will determine not so much if he can play. It's more going to be how well can he play, how comfortable can he play. And but I do expect him to start the game, but I'm not going to sit here and rubber stamp it.
Now, Jerry, one thing, I know about the Pittsburgh Steelers up until this year was they were not going to allow you to run the football. That's one thing that they were not going to do, and they did a damn good job at it. But this year is different. They're giving up over 100 yards per game rushing, but they do get Cam Hayward back. Will that make a difference? I know Mika Fitzpatrick is out possibly, but will Cam coming back have a big difference on their run-stopping ability?
Yeah, Cam won't be back until next week's game at the earliest, and that's been the timetable all along. I do expect him back. November 12th, they play the Packers. There's no question he'll help. They made big strides last year to improve their run defense. I think they finished 10th in the league. And I go back, to your point about one thing you always know. James Ferrier once told me, he goes, look, if we want to stop the run, we'll stop the run. And that was always their mentality. But, there's a number of factors in play. I know they've been playing that 34 defense for a long time. But the difference is their base is the 34, but they're in their nickel and dime 70 to 75% of the time. And when you're only using 2 down linemen, that's putting a lot of pressure on your inside backers. And teams, I don't know how you stop the run playing a nickel defense, with 2 down linemen, or stop it on a consistent basis. And that's the problem that they face. And so what we have seen in these games where teams start to run the ball, the Rams had a patchwork running game, and they ran for 135 on them the other day, 2 weeks ago. And so we've seen the Steelers on occasion put a 4-man front up there. They're not switching their defense to a 4-3 by any stretch, but they've had to do different things to try and stop the run because they have failed to do that. And when they talk about the Steelers wanting to be a great defense or an elite defense, well, that's never going to be until they stop the run. And they've struggled to do it. And of course, we're so used to hear them do that, historically, annually, on a regular basis, but not so much the last 3 years. A little better last year, not so good this year.
And now on the flip side of that, running the football, Najee Harris is obviously, he's shown he's one of the best backs in the National Football League, but it just hasn't shown this season. They're not even averaging over 100 yards, I believe, per game. Is it so much so the running back, which I can't believe it is, or is it the offensive line, or is it the play caller?
Well, you know as well as me, it's not just one or the other. It's not the back. It's not just the offensive line. But Najee's he's kind of run indifferently this year. And last year, what happened is when they started playing Jaylen Warren, and Jaylen Warren is a downhill, see it, hit it type of runner, and he was hitting holes and gaining yards, whereas not when Najee was struggling. And so whether he saw it or was pointed out to him or decided this is what, he was bothered by a foot injury for the first half of last year. Second half of last year, Najee was just hitting that hole and going. And with the exception of a few instances this year, he hasn't been doing that. The Rams game, he ran with determination. He got that ball and he hit that hole. The other day against Jacksonville, entirely different. 7 carries, 13 yards, and very tentative going up to the line of scrimmage. So, are the holes there and he's not hitting them, or are they not there and he's running into a brick wall? Whatever it is, he's had problems running the ball, and they have not run it on a consistent basis. I'll go back a couple weeks ago to that Rams game. They had 80-some yards, but 54 were in the fourth quarter. They ran the ball 4 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, the way you want to run the ball in the fourth quarter, and it worked. So that gave them hope that, okay, maybe that was a positive step forward, and then they come up against Jacksonville and just literally hit the wall running the football.
Now, Jerry, before I pass it over to Willie, this has to be frustrating to Mike Tomlin because on both hands, you're not stopping the run, and we can't run the ball effectively. That has to be something that Mike Tomlin is just going bananas over.
Absolutely, because that's probably, if his DNA as a coach is built on doing both, and that they don't, it probably is. When this past year, their offensive line last year was the most improved unit on the team. And then they go out and sign 2 guys in free agency, Isaac Seumalo and Nate Herbig as a backup, and they draft Broderick Jones. And it became apparent what their mindset was going to be. And that's run the football with big people, improve an offensive line, that played every snap, started every game last year, and was pretty good. And so, but the opposite has happened. Not that they've gotten worse, but you don't see the dramatic improvement. And that was a big focus this year, not to become run-oriented, but to run the ball better and take the pressure off, your young quarterback. And it really hasn't happened. And so, yeah, that part of it is frustrating more than just to Mike Tomlin. That's organizationally, it's been frustrating. And yeah, defensively, you're never going to choke a team down until you stop the run and make them one-dimensional and get after them with your two outside edge guys who are as good as any as a combo as there is in the league.
Post-Gazette. Jerry, we're watching Will Levis now get his chance here for a team that's trying to remain competitive while throwing a young quarterback in. At least that's where they're going as of last Sunday. That there are quarterbacks who come into the league and they're thrown in there with a team in a full rebuild. Kenny Pickett is sort of closer to Levis, right? Last year he was a rookie quarterback on a team that was trying to win. What's your big picture outlook for Pickett at this point?
Well, I've always thought, first of all, I'll go back to last year, and when I look at what prior to last season, when I look at what the Steelers needed, to me, based on where they were, I didn't think they needed to take a quarterback in the first round, especially after they wasted little time in free agency signing Mitch Trubisky. But okay, you took him, and that's fine. But I think Kenny Pickett is a good quarterback. I think he is a guy who could win. But you saw him in a class with your guy Malik Willis, and everybody thought it was a weak class, and that Kenny Pickett maybe was the best. And there was some debate that maybe Malik Willis would be the first quarterback pick. Well, he lasted to the third round, which should tell you something about the strength of that quarterback class. So I think Kenny Pickett is a nice quarterback who can win games with. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think he's those, quote, franchise quarterbacks that's going to take a team to the Super Bowl. But I think he's a nice young quarterback, and they can win with him. But he started 19 games now. He's just early into his second season, really, and he makes mistakes, and of course he's going to. But we've also seen him orchestrate game-winning drives, 3 of them in the last minute here in the last 10 games, and he has shown that ability to rise to the occasion when they've needed it in the fourth quarter, and that has been right now has been his greatest quality.
Jerry, we're looking at Will Levis, and we're saying, wow, that was really eye-popping on Sunday. But now you're saying, okay, let's take a look at it Thursday night in Pittsburgh against a Steeler defense, and it kind of gives you the creeps. You say, wow, what is Pittsburgh's history playing against very young quarterbacks? Have they had a lot of success?
Well, I will tell you that when Dick LeBeau was here, I mean, his record against rookie quarterbacks was ridiculous. Like, I can't remember, but I want to say it was like 19-1 or 20-2 or something like that, 18-3. And because he just dialed up different looks and got after them and confused them. I can't sit here and tell you that the same exists. So I don't think it's any one thing. I don't think they have the types of players in the secondary, especially without Minkah Fitzpatrick, who are going to give a young quarterback fits. But that's what they will try to do. And I would be shocked if they didn't try and get after him too. But, teams are paying a lot of attention to T.J. Watt. The last 2 games, we've seen not only double teams, but triple team on T.J. Watt. They don't want him to influence or wreck the game because he does do that all by himself. So I'm not exactly sure which it's going to be. I mean, I don't really think it can be both. But I don't know that their record against younger quarterbacks has been anything, like it used to be under Dick LeBeau. I will say this about Will Levis being a Penn State guy and seeing where he was when he transferred to Kentucky. I thought Will Levis was Taysom Hill, and I didn't think he was a first-round quarterback. Well, I mean, I know all about the strength of his arm, but after what I saw last week, he looks like a first-round quarterback, doesn't he?
We're hoping he continues
pretty good.
to look like that.
Looking pretty good. Hey, Jerry, let me sneak one in. Now that you mentioned Penn State, James Franklin, me being a Vanderbilt guy, I watched every game, and he did some pretty remarkable things. And you can see what they were doing before him and after him, and you say, wow. So I'm just curious where you think he's got Penn State now. I know the perception, like he's beating literally everybody except for 2 programs. Right. So can he bust through and get to that next level that I know how badly, if I know one thing about him, is how much drive he has to get to the top. So do you think he could get to that next step?
Well, there's no question he has built the program back to an elite level, but not that ultimate elite level where, he has to get out of the Big Ten and not only beat those 2 teams, but start beating some ranked teams. And his record against ranked teams and top 10 teams is abysmal. And so that's what's frustrating to Penn State fans. He does a wonderful job recruiting. You see they have top tier talent that goes to the NFL. Maybe not like Alabama, but they got them and they send them. But it's frustrating that they just can't get past Ohio State and or Michigan. And they have a chance now. If they would lose to Ohio State and now beat Michigan, that would be better than the opposite, that if they beat Ohio State and lost to Michigan, because when the loss will have occurred. You're better off losing early and winning late if you want to get in the playoff picture. But I think that's what's frustrating, obviously, to Penn State fans. 11-2, you could be 11-2, but yeah, we lost to Ohio State, Michigan is the way they feel. And until that happens, we've seen Ohio State coaches lose their job because they can't beat Michigan. And I don't know that would happen at Penn State. But that will always be the knock against him until he's able to do it. And I'm not so sure he's going to be able to do it with a 19-year-old quarterback against Michigan.
Are they changing the signals just to make sure? Just kidding. I mean, that is D-Mase is a Michigan State guy. I'm really curious. You're in Big Ten country, what they think. Well, I saw that article in The Athletic. They polled a lot of coaches, unnamed coaches. It does sound like it's they want to see some significant sanctions here.
Well, I agree, because I mean you're just acknowledging that you're cheating, and by saying, well, everybody steals signals. Yeah, they steal signals. Everybody's trying to gain an edge in the game. If they hear something called out. But when you go to the lengths that they went to it's the same thing Bill Belichick did. With taping games and practices and whatever the heck he was doing. Yeah, I mean you're blatantly cheating, openly cheating, and you're endorsing it, and that's the biggest crime. And so yeah. I would think they would come down hard on them, and I mean I loved Jim Harbaugh's explanation that we did it, but everybody does it to some degree. We're all trying to gain an edge. Well, I don't think it's as simple as that, but I would think a lot of coaches would probably want to see them see the NCAA or somebody, the Big Ten, come down hard on them, because probably a lot of coaches being around college basketball, college football, NFL football, but especially the college game. There's so much paranoia and everybody's accusing the other guy of cheating. I get all that, and probably a lot of them are. But I think when you go to those levels, and maybe the crime is not that they did it, maybe the crime is that they got caught. But whatever it is, they got caught and they did it, and it was blatant. And I don't think it should be ignored. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the old everybody else does it isn't necessarily the best defense
Not like
of
that.
you in a
That's
program. Right, exactly.
That's right.
Nobody else does it like that, at least that we know of. Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, appreciate you for joining us, Jerry. Enjoy the game tomorrow night.
All right, guys. Nice chatting with y'all.
Same here.
All right, yeah, nice to meet with you. Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He does great work covering the Pittsburgh Steelers and Penn State. But coming up next, I want to get into what we learned from Jerry, some injury updates, how that might shift our perspective of this matchup with the Titans on Thursday Night Football. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, tune into 94.9 The Fan this Saturday for Vanderbilt football. The Commodores will kick off at 3 o'clock at home against Auburn with pregame beginning at 1:30 p.m. Coverage is also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McKay.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Dominic Cavity.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We all know moving is not very fun, but it doesn't have to be stressful. Caroline Fenton here from my friends over at Black Tie Moving, where their trained and dedicated team is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the process. I moved with Black Tie Moving over the summer, and I can personally attest that they do take the stress out of the process from the very beginning. When I had a call with a local professional moving consultant and they laid out everything that I could expect, they were open and honest. And once my movers came on moving day, they were so respectful of my things, of my space, and of me and my family members that were helping me move. I truly cannot recommend them enough. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401 for your next move. Again, that's blacktiemoving.com. or 615-437-8401. Be sure to mention the promo code GAME to score 10% off of your next move, and then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life with Black Tie Moving.
Get Black Friday deals earlier than ever at Electronic Express. Get the gifts you want and save up to 40% throughout the entire store. Beat the crowds and save on hundreds of 4K TVs, appliances, computers, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing on items like an LG 86-inch 4K TV, now only $9.99. Or a Samsung laundry pair, only $5.99 each. Black Friday deals are here at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just west of Nashville in a tranquil setting of Kingston Springs Ranchettes neighborhood, 1617 Wildlife Trail offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty, all for under $450,000. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willy Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Yeah, well, I think it's several problems because, I mean, Kenny Pickett has not been very sharp except in the second half. I mean, the difference between the first half and the second half with him has been alarming, especially when you look at the first quarter to the fourth quarter. I mean, he's missed open receivers. He looks skittish in the pocket. He hasn't played very well at all in the first half of games. So I don't look at it as him playing is going to be any additional benefit to an offense that has struggled. But, because of the Thursday game, practice is closed to the media today. But I have been told today's practice, even though Kenny Pickett said he will play, and I don't doubt that he will, but I was told that today's practice will determine not so much if he can play. It's more going to be how well can he play.
That was Jerry Dulac, who covers the Pittsburgh Steelers for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And when I saw the Steelers injury report yesterday, I thought, uh-oh. Kenny Pickett was at least limited in practice today. And then their defensive lineman, Cam Hayward, was a full go. He's been out pretty much a majority of the season with a groin injury. He underwent surgery after week 1. I thought, okay, rookie quarterback, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward. In a Pittsburgh Steelers offense that, like Jerry mentioned, has been struggling, whether it's with Kenny Pickett or not Kenny Pickett. It's still getting your starting quarterback into the mix, which is, a little bit more intimidating than taking on, Mitch Trubisky. Honestly, and I know that, the market that covers the team might be a little bit more critical, might look into it a little bit more. But honestly, hearing from Jerry about the Kenny Pickett updates and then hearing from Jerry that Cam Hayward likely will not be available this Thursday, we can probably see him be back for the Pittsburgh Steelers' next game against Green Bay, makes me feel a little bit better after being a little bit scared about that injury report yesterday.
Yeah, it does. I meant to ask them about Dante Johnson, who's their other big-time receiver. It seems like he's either back this game or he's on his way back sort of around the time Cam Hayward comes back, which would mean the next game for them. But if they can add another weapon for Kenny Pickett, I'm sure he would welcome that with open arms. He's right. I just looked at Kenny Pickett's numbers from the first half to the second half, and they are vastly different. He's completing close to 70% of his passes in the second half, whereas in the first half, he's abysmal. Like he's like 50-something%. He's not completing anything really,
which is crazy because he's got George Pickens, like you said, Deontay Johnson, and really during preseason at least, which I know it's preseason, I get it. Kenny Pickett looked unstoppable.
Yeah, he did. So he's what we've seen before. We've seen this sort of script before. Here in town, whereas the Titans with a really good first half team, and for some reason the second half they just fell off the map. Well, if you look at Pittsburgh and Kenny Pickens, he doesn't start fast, but it seems like those next 2 quarters after halftime, he's a different quarterback. For what reason, I don't know, but it seems like this season that's his MO. That first half, if you're going to get him, you better get him in the first half. And then the second half, for some reason, he picks his game up. So, the Titans just got to make him a no-half guy. A guy that doesn't do anything in the first half and then equally as amount in the second half. So if they can do that, then, they got an opportunity of winning this game.
Well, I'm in the no-half thing. I'm gonna give you what could be construed as a hot take, maybe not boiling hot, but
Willy with the hot takes.
Well, after watching what happened last week, is it not possible, if not probable, that Trubisky, healthy, is better than a hurting Kenny Pickett, who's got a rib problem and probably going to have to numb it, play through some pain, deal with that? He said it affects his throws a little bit. Like I'm almost hoping that Pickett plays hurt. I think that would be a better scenario for the Titans than a healthy Trubisky. That's kind of scary to say, but like Trubisky has been underwhelming and a disappointment because he was such a high first-round pick, but he's not awful, right? If you look at his career numbers, they're not that bad. He's 31-24 as a starter, 64% completion, 69 touchdowns, 45 interceptions. It's not like he's incapable of playing a good game. So
he's a serviceable backup.
Yes, I'm actually hoping that Pickett plays for the Titans' sake.
Well, I think there is something to that whole rib injury, because if you look at just by quarter, he gets better each quarter of the game. So maybe the slow start is him warming himself up, the rib up and everything else, and then he gets into the second quarter, leading over to the third and the fourth, where he's warm now. He can he doesn't have to think about the injury because now his body's warm. He's their adrenaline is going. So there may be something to that. The whole rib injury, and it does affect him with throwing the ball.
And based on what Jerry said, Derek, with the situation, I don't think it's clear that I mean, you can say you're going to play all you want, but the coach decides. Like I think there's a scenario where Pickett doesn't even play, or backs up and they just start Trubisky.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch Trubisky last week against the Jags, 15 of 27, 138 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I mean, I wouldn't mind taking.
Well, that was that was bad weather and coming off the bench, not prepared as the starter. I think since then, if you're preparing him secretly to be the starter, I think he probably has a little better chance of putting up better numbers than that. But let's not forget that Pickett has terrible numbers himself. His numbers are bad. They're just above Ryan Tannehill's number. It's a struggling offense with no running game. So whichever one they put in there is not in a great position. I'm just saying, given the two choices, I think if I'm Mike Tomlin, Trubisky might be the better choice.
I mean, this offense is just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad.
The Titans have to make them look bad to win this game. That's the key. I want to see the Titans' ferocious defense that they have looked at times, especially at home. If they can take that on the road, that's what's got to happen in this game. And if they do that and get to 4-4, it's kind of like, okay, halfway through the season, what do we got here?
That's the thing that kind of lingers in my mind for me, is how bad this team has looked on the road. And in the beginning of the season,
they made the Browns offense look pretty good, which is saying something.
Which is saying something. Christian Fulton was probably MVP of the Cleveland offense that day. And, I was so reluctant to say, and I still am, to say that this is a good home team and a bad road team. But it's hard to not look at what the Titans have done so far this season and not think that. Because they don't just, they don't just have their bumps and bruises on the road. Like, they're bad on the road. Excited to see what Will Levis will look like. Short week on the road. Tough environment. Probably going to be pretty cold. And also what this defense can do against an offense that really is struggling. Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, whoever it's going to be. Can we see a day from Jeffrey Simmons like we saw last week against the Falcons? Really, rather, first half against the Falcons. I mean, this is an opportunity, I think, for a big confidence-building win. And I'm not making my official prediction for the game. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll get a little bit deeper into this matchup tomorrow. But just based off of what Jerry was saying and how much this offense really has struggled. I mean, I looked at this morning, Jerry did a mailbag with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He probably went over like 8 to 10 questions. Maybe 4 of those were about, hey, Jerry, when are we going to fire the offensive coordinator? Like, hey, Jerry, Las Vegas just fired their coach. Why can't we fire our offensive coordinator? Like, it's that bad that's really, the forefront of a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers conversations happening in Pittsburgh is the offense stinks and we want Matt Canada out of here. This feels like a really good confidence-building opportunity for the Titans.
Yeah, it does. This is a chance for this team who has their own, we have our own problems here. But if you can, travel up north and, compound Pittsburgh's problems, there's nothing wrong with that. I think Pittsburgh is, from the outside looking in, they may be in a worse position than the Tennessee Titans are. From this standpoint, There are players, I mean, because it's like they have all these weapons, these young weapons, but they're not, because of the quarterback, they're not getting anything out of them. Because of the offensive coordinator, they're not getting anything out of them. They're not running the ball effectively. You look at the Titans, well, we know what their problems are. We know what the problems are. Their offensive line, that's the first problem. But they're still able to run the football somehow, some way. They're still able to, get big plays in the offense. There's no one's questioning their offensive coordinator. Whereas Pittsburgh, they're questioning their offensive coordinator. They're questioning really their quarterback. Is he the guy moving forward? Are they questioning, the run game? Is it Najee Harris, or is it the offensive line, or is it the play caller? And then on the defensive side of the ball, they are, they're beat up. They're questioning the secondary. From a run standpoint, this is a team known for stopping the run. They haven't been able to stop the run all season. So to me, the Titans, it's not like, they're in a much better place than Pittsburgh, but I think they're in the spot where they know what they are, who they are, and how they got to win games. I don't know if Pittsburgh understands, because of the problems that they have, how to win games or who they are as a team. We know who they are as an organization and want to be as an organization, but are they that as a team this year?
It's an interesting thought, because the difference is, do the Steelers think they have their guy at quarterback moving forward? Well, did the Titans? I think you think.
Yeah, you hope.
And at least Pittsburgh has those young pieces offensively. Like Najee Harris is on a rookie contract. George Pickens is on a rookie contract. You have your young core moving forward.
But I'm saying
like
now, right now, this game, I think the Titans feel a little bit better about themselves, considering what their quarterback did last week. The defense being able to get to the passer, get some turnovers. Now Pittsburgh is getting turnovers, but as we sit right now, they're not doing much with those turnovers, and the offense is mediocre at best. And again, even though the Titans are not there a middle of the road, maybe below that team, they still are able to run the football more times than not. Pittsburgh hadn't been able to run the football at all. And both teams are built on running the football. That's how they control the game. Everything feeds off of whether they can run the football or not. And it seems like Pittsburgh hasn't been able to do that.
Really intriguing matchup. And just when this reminds me so much of going into the Cleveland game, because I was thinking, all right, beat Cleveland at their own. This is a classic Titans grinder. They can out-grind the opponent on the road, and it was a disaster in Cleveland. It was anything but that. I'm trying to battle in my mind, right? Are we going to see a classic Vrabel grinder? And can they outgrind the Steelers, who look like they're very gettable right now? But this Titans team has not played a good game on the road yet. And so I'm hesitant to jump out there. But there's a lot about this matchup that I like because of what you just pointed out.
The road element of it all does concern me.
Yeah.
I mean, Titans haven't looked good on the road. Not even a resemblance
of
looking good on the road at all this season. No. And you're going into Pittsburgh, which isn't necessarily frou-frou land, easy place to play. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get into your thoughts on that. Plus, coming up next, what if the Titans win tomorrow night? What if the Titans come out of this week 4-4? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He knows Nashville sports.
And you've got Mike Vrabel in what feels like sort of a back against the wall game. They're at their best.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They need to go on the road and win a game.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
16 5-star players and 52 4-star players.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
They still have all of the talent.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're You're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Jewelry business, it's in my blood. I've been doing it all my life, and it's my passion.
Meet Daniel Sabalas, a third-generation jeweler at Genesis Diamonds.
This line of work, it's all about honesty and trust. It's about building relationships.
And that's what drew Daniel to Genesis, where it's all about education, transparency, and respect for each customer.
It's based on a family business mentality, and that's how we are. We're here to educate, to guide you, and we make it very easy. So we really go out of our way to educate customers in the right way. There's no stress level, there's no tension. The customer can feel that.
All this while providing the guaranteed best value price.
I've never seen a company that has the best price like this that I've seen anywhere. We are a powerhouse of diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds. No commission salespeople, no pricing games, no risk, no pressure, no cutting corners.
Genesis Diamonds is going to give you the best price, best quality, guaranteed, no matter what.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks Vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower use for adults only.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
Fall is the time for family, friends, and unforgettable moments. Lee Company wants you to savor every second. While you enjoy this time with your family, our professional technicians can handle everything else, from gutter cleaning to pressure washing to painting to new gas log installations. We've been serving homeowners in this area for almost 80 years. Visit leecompany.com to learn more. That's leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need.
They're homegrown in Nashville, discussing the biggest topics in the SEC.
The fans are going to want the rivalries to stick around. They've lost to Alabama every year.
The NFL.
What if all the top 3 quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3? You've got to draft your guy at 2.
And anything in between.
From thinking we know everything to then forgetting about everything we thought we knew the day before.
They're Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow on Outkick's Hot Mic.
Out of the gates, ready to go.
Weekdays from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What do you say is the biggest challenge in such a quick turnaround against a defense like the Steelers?
I'm assuming that you said that short turnaround. It just, it's a new opponent. It's everything is just sped up, and we talked about what it is physically, but just the mental preparation that goes on to, a new opponent, new scheme, new players that they have to learn. So I think that's a challenge as well.
Hey, tomorrow it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the Preds game tomorrow night, you will win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Participate with Robbie and Rexroad tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. List your home with TJ to get your home seen, heard, and sold. So you heard Mike Vrabel there. We know Thursday night football's hard. Short week is hard. Going to Pittsburgh is hard. And we know that in Thursday night football, typically, the home team is favored. Typically, it's much more difficult, especially on a short week, to travel. But my question for you guys, what if the Titans win? Like, what if they go to Pittsburgh on a short week, beat the Steelers, and albeit this is not the big bad boy Steelers that we maybe have known of the past. This is a Steelers team. We chatted with Jerry Dulac earlier this hour of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and he highlighted it. This team is struggling, offensively especially. But if the Titans win, they're 4-4, second place in the division. Yeah, you'd still be 2 games back behind the Jags. Yeah, the Jags have won 5 games in a row. But how much would it change your perspective of this team?
I think it changes it. Willy gave the numbers earlier. There are, 11, 12 teams that are either 4-3, 3-4, somewhere around there. And
11 teams that are either 4-3, 4-4, or 3-4.
Exactly.
There's 4 4-3s, 3 4-4s, and 4 3-4s.
Exactly.
Say that 5 times fast.
So
the lottery numbers, Willy?
So you win this game, you put yourself back in the race for a playoff spot, because if you're looking at Cleveland got Arizona this week. Now you figure Cleveland can win that game, but you never know. And I'm just talking about within the AFC. Houston has Tampa, and Houston's sitting at 3-4. So these teams and then if you beat Pittsburgh, now you have the tiebreaker with Pittsburgh, and you both sit 4-4 in the division. And somebody's got to win versus Miami and Kansas City. Now I know the Titans are not Miami or Kansas City, but one of those teams will go to 6-3. And now you feel a little bit better about your team and yourself moving forward, because now you're a game and a half off of that playoff spot. And again, this is where everyone starts to jockey for position in the playoffs, starting this week and moving forward. So if the Titans can get this win, again, I don't care how the win looks. If they can get it and they see progression in the quarterback, they have to feel good about where they sit, with 9 more games. Well, yeah, I think it would be 9 more games after tomorrow night.
Of the 11 teams that are in that group, 4-3, 4-4, 3-4, the worst team as far as point differential is the Steelers by far, -34. They've been drubbed twice, once by the 49ers on opening day, and once by the Texans, surprisingly, right? But, point differential doesn't tell you the whole story, but it does tell you a little bit, right? It does kind of tell you that there is a huge difference sometimes in a team that's 4-3 and a team that's 3-4. And that's crazy to say. But, of that group, do we think the Bengals are figuring it out? Yeah, I think they're figuring it out. They're in that group. So are they going to separate? I think yes. But every year, somebody's got to emerge from that group. This is nothing new for the NFL. There's always going to be a huge group of teams in the middle. Can the Titans be the best of the middle? That's how I would answer your question, Caroline. If you get to 4-4, then I think you're kind of back to that original goal of the season is, can you be on the front side of the middle, sneak into the playoffs, and maybe have a great moment where you say, we won a playoff game?
That's kind of where I am at. is 4-4 at least brings you back into the conversation. Sitting at 2-4,
Right.
it was like, well, I mean, we're just going to crawl to the end of the season because, my goodness, there's not a lot to look forward to. 4-4, it's okay. Second place in the division. Now, granted, Jacksonville looks really good.
Well,
You'd probably have to sweep Jacksonville. And those Texans games, and I know they're the
they
Texans.
got to sweep the Texans.
They got to
too.
sweep the Texans, too. And that doesn't look like it's going to necessarily be the easiest walk in the park because the Texans now don't look like maybe the easier to beat Texans of the last couple of years. So they've got the most important games on their schedule ahead of them. 2 against the Jags, 2 against the Texans, and you got to win 1 against the Colts. So it doesn't make me feel like, all right, work here is done. Titans are going to win the Super Bowl, or the Titans are a lock to make the playoffs. But it at least makes me feel better. Because in order
We won't be talking about the draft. I know Caroline does not want to talk about the draft until February.
No more draft talk. The obsession with draft picks in this city. I mean, it is astonishing. But and another thing, because not just the playoff outlook, not just the division outlook, but if you win this weekend, that shows me that Will Levis was able to do enough. That the defense showed up on the road and that the defense was able to do a little bit more. That maybe Jeffrey Simmons showed up like he did this past week. Maybe they weren't shooting themselves in the foot with turnovers or dumb penalties like we've seen this team commit, especially defensively on the road. That maybe you're starting to clean a couple things up, that maybe you can finally get that road bugaboo off your back. And the team would be coming into form. And again, Pittsburgh is not a Super Bowl contender. You know, it's not the big bad Steelers that beating this team isn't like, well, if you can beat the Steelers, then who can't you beat? That's not the case. It would at least give me a little bit more hope and optimism at 4-4 than we would see at 3-5 or 2-4.
Yeah, they have to find them way. They have to find a way. It started last week, but they have to find a way to allow this to continue, to keep themselves in the playoff conversation. You don't want to slip too far behind because, you know, even teams like, we laughed at Denver a few weeks ago, but if Denver wins this week, they're still pretty much in the picture to get a playoff
and they
spot.
think they are. They think
exactly.
They are. Sean Payton would say, "We're not trading anybody."
I'm sure
we're
Sean
back.
Payton says that.
Yeah, but
well,
even,
I mean, when you beat the Chiefs pretty soundly,
you feel
you're
good
like,
about yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Not quite the flu game that Patrick Mahomes was looking for.
Yeah, so you know, even teams like that are still in a hunt. The whole AFC North is still in the hunt for a playoff spot. So if you can pick up a win this week, tomorrow, you feel good about your chances moving forward. If the quarterback continues, which I believe he will, he's going to have his setbacks. I get it. But I believe he will continue to show why he deserves to be the future of this franchise. So if you can just continue to, you know, I don't care how the wins look, if you continue to pull them out, then you keep yourself in a conversation. We said last week, cautiously optimistic. I'm still cautiously optimistic about what this team can do moving forward.
Cautiously optimistic after one win. We have not seen this team win 2 in a row in a long time. Can you imagine the giddiness of winning 2 in a row? Good grief.
That's how important one game is in the National Football League. Is last week we were talking about draft picks. Now we're talking about playoffs. Football's crazy. Don't you dare rush me out of here, Jared Stillman. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Stillman and Company's up next.
Be loved and love on your people. Peace.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
ElectronicExpress.com.